Nestled in the foothills of Connecticut's Berkshire Mountains sits the pristine landscape of Lime Rock Park. But each summer, the area's tranquil setting is shattered by the roar of world-class sports cars.
Lime Rock Park is a bull ring. It is fast, it's mean.
Really, really special.
I mean, it's really small, it's really tight.
Lime Rock is just super fast and a lot of traffic.
Not a lot of room here to pass, to make stuff happen.
Love it and hate it.
It's just hot, it's humid.
You have to decide when to make that aggressive move. It could be the difference between a crash and winning the race.
It's really physically demanding.
But if anything goes wrong, your day is over with and there's no getting it back.
The summer run for the American Le Mans Series Championship begins today with the Challenge of Lime Rock.
The American Le Mans Series, world-class drivers, premier road courses and cutting-edge technology. Born in France in 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the American Le Mans Series is the glory and the grueling reality of world-class sports car racing. 5 separate classes racing on the track at the same time. Drivers from around the world strut their speed, skill and endurance. It's the chain that connects the new and the true sports car fans to an extraordinary racing tradition. This is the American Le Mans Series.
ESPN and the American Le Mans Series welcome you to coverage of Round 4 of the 2012 season, the Northeast Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park. It is a hot and humid day in northwestern Connecticut. The fans have turned out, as they always do, to what many call simply the park. A lot of families on hand as well, perhaps enjoying their summer vacation. But for the teams, the drivers of the American Le Mans Series, their summer vacation is over with. It's been 8 weeks since the teams last raced at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And the teams, the drivers, they're looking forward to get back into competition. 5 different classes competing here. The prototypes, the P1 cars, the fastest. They're purpose-built machines, 200 miles an hour on longer racetracks, very similar to the P2 cars. Purpose-built prototypes, several different manufacturers of chassis, engines, and tires can be utilized in different combinations. The prototype challenge cars, these chassis are all identical. The power plants all identical, and the tires all the same. It is up to the teams, the drivers, and the engineers to get the most out of that package and try to win the race in the prototype challenge category. In the GT category, these are cars that you're used to seeing on the street. Porsches, BMWs, Ferraris, Corvettes. The GT category speeds up to 180 miles an hour, 500 horsepower. Once again, this is a manufacturer's playground. Tires are open and you can choose your weapon. In GT Challenge, all the cars are identical. They are all Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars with speeds capable of 150 miles an hour. All use the Yokohama tire. And once again, you've got to make sure that your team, your driver, engineer work together. And talk about working together. All 5 of those classes compete at the same time. We expect the P1 cars to be fast, and indeed here at Lime Rock Park, they have qualified on the pole. For more on that story, let's hear from Jamie Howe.
P1 qualifying offered a show that saw Dyson Racing's Guy Smith and Muscle Milk Racing's Lucas Floor as close as 6/1000ths of a second at times, but in the end it was Guy Smith who came out on top. It's Dyson Racing's home track. This is a big pole position for the team, but what result will it give you in the race?
Well, obviously it gives us a good starting position. I mean, it means nothing really towards the race, but you know, we've had a tough run at Dyson Racing the start of 2012, so you know, we've been working really hard over this sort of summer break that we've had, and it's kind of just vindicates all the work that we've done. It was nice to get pole position. You know, we're obviously on the front of the grid, but we've now got to turn that into a win, so that's going to be the challenge.
Last time Dyson Racing started from pole here at Lime Rock Park was last year, and guys, they turned that one into a victory.
Hello everyone, I'm Brian Till along with Johnny O'Connell, and welcome to Lime Rock Park. You know, Johnny, every time we come to this racetrack, the term bull ring is used. It is tight, it is fast, it's going to be challenging. What do these drivers face today?
Well, Brian, you've got a lap time that's anywhere from 44 seconds to 52 seconds. The best thing for people that don't know racing, imagine having a football game on a field that was only 30 yards long. There's going to be a lot of contact. That team that doesn't hit anybody or get hit is always going to have success here at Lime Rock.
Well, we'll make it even more challenging today. weather conditions, it very well may rain later, and that's just going to make things even more difficult.
Hey, you know what? The great thing about sports car racing, if it rains, they're running. And there's one team in particular, the Falcon Tire guys. Last year in the wet, they were unbelievably quick. They will be praying for the skies to open up.
Lime Rock, it is always challenging. We've already heard from our Prototype 1 and overall pole sitter. For more on the GT storylines, let's go to Kelly Stavist.
Brian, Bill Auberlen set pole in his number 55 BMW, and he did it in record-breaking fashion, but there are as many lows as highs in auto racing, and this is one of them because the team just discovered a fuel leak. They'll get it fixed, but they're forced to start from pit lane, and they'll go a lap down because of it. So, Bill Auberlen, how do you overcome that?
I don't know. I think that's a terribly dumb rule. You're the one who just told me about that. I almost died. I thought we still had a chance starting from pit lane, dead last. I thought we had a good enough team. Well, the team is amazing. They will always strategize you, get you back to the lead again. And now they just basically say, hey, we don't want you to win anymore, so they put you a lap down. It's really kind of horrible. We'll find a way around it, and we'll just fight our way out of it.
Yeah, they are short laps here, so you have that going for you. But talk about the traffic and just trying to make up that time at a place like this.
Well, now it's no holds barred. You get in my way, I'm going through now. Now I'm not totally excited about anything. I'm not going to be terribly as respectful as I was because I have to make up a lap. So I'm coming through, and I mean, what's the difference? I'm a lap down and I'm in 15th place, or I'm barging my way through. It's going to be the same thing.
Tough situation here for the 55. Thanks, Bill.
And tough words from Bill Auberlen. We call it a bull ring. Maybe it's going to be a boxing ring for Bill Auberlen as he tries to fight his way to the front. Lime Rock Park is always a challenge, and the fans have turned out to see it. Just under 1.5 miles, 7 turns around this short racetrack. Who better to take us around on our Patron track description than a guy who knows this facility very well?
Welcome to Lime Rock Park, my home track. I grew up in the Northeast. I'm Guy Cosmo, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite spots about this track. Here we are at Turn 1, also known as Big Bend. You're coming down the front straight, flying down here, approaching the corner about 160 miles per hour. Your best opportunity to pass, but everybody's funneling down. And although you might be able to get past somebody, you could also wind up in the weeds. Trust me, I've wound up there myself. We're making our way out of Big Bend, and the cars could still be side by side. As a driver, we're still trying to get our position sorted out before we get to Turn 4 so we can get a good run onto the back straight and head towards the chicanes. Turn 5 in the past has been a little bit of a problem because the American Le Mans Series cars have gotten so fast. When we crest the hill, they were starting to get airborne, and the possibility to flip over was something we really needed to be concerned about. We now turn right through the chicane. We get down to first gear, big on the brakes as we shut the car down, get turned, and we rocket up the hill trying to get to the West Bend. We've made it through the slow and technical sections of Turn 5 and Turn 6 with those chicanes. The last piece of the puzzle is getting back up to speed and haul the mail down the downhill at Lime Rock. Fast, blind, full throttle for us to get a good run onto the front straight to finish your lap at Lime Rock Park.
And a challenging lap it is. The teams, the drivers getting ready. 29 competitors will take the green flag here at Lime Rock Park today. 5 different classes battling out for their win in their respective classes and an overall win as well. It's going to be a good one. It's round 4 of the 2012 American Le Mans Series season, the Northeast Grand Prix from Lime Rock Park. We'll come back. The fans, they're getting ready. They're getting their belts on. They're going to be holding on. You can too. John Hindon, Jeremy Shaw bring you the call.
And welcome back to Lime Rock Park. You know, we hear so much about the bullring nature of this circuit, and certainly up here on the hill the crowd have got a great view. It's a very intimate circuit, and with a little bit of drizzle now, that might make things interesting later on. But away from the technicalities of the track, Jeremy Shaw, what about the human element, the guys who drive and the guys who call the tactics?
You know, every race we go to, we talk about the fact that strategy is important, and also you have to minimize your mistakes. Yeah. Well, particularly here at Lime Rock Park, we've already heard about how short the track is, how quick the lap times are here. But you know, if you make a mistake on pit lane, then you're going to get a drive-through penalty or a stop-and-go penalty at best. And if you do that, it's going to cost you the best part of a lap. So you cannot afford to make any mistakes on the pit lane. As far as the drivers are concerned, you know, this is a road course. There's more space space than there is normally on a street circuit, but there's several places on the track here where the fences, the barriers are very, very close to the edge of the racetrack. So the drivers, they cannot afford to make a mistake either.
Got to get the balance right. We'll be lapping in traffic after 4 or 5 laps, and that means concentration is key too. Let's go down to the paddock and the pit lane with Taro Kogi.
The pole sitter in the GTC class is WeatherTech Racing, Cooper McNeil and Lee Keane. I have Cooper with me. It's Lime Rock is a tightest track actually on the American Le Mans Series circuit. How are you going to handle that today?
Well, we're going to try and go as fast as we can and watch my mirrors too. But it's going to be a really interesting race because of how small this track is. It's only like 1.4 miles long. But we got the pole here, and the WeatherTech Alex Job Racing Porsche is running really well. So we're hoping to stay out front.
It looks like some rain is starting to come down now. How are you guys going to handle that?
Yeah, it seems like a little bit's coming down now. Not too bad, but as soon as the asphalt changes color and gets darker, that's when we start to lose grip. But right now it seems okay, so as long as it just keeps drizzling, we should be fine.
Thanks, Cooper. Good luck.
Thank you.
4 of the 5 classes on the track at the same time posted new qualifying records yesterday in the qualifying session. And it was a great battle for the prototype challenge cars. Let's go down to the head of that grid and Kelly Stavist.
Kyle Marcelli set the pole in the PC class behind the wheel of his number 8 Merchant Services car. And Kyle, it was the first pole position for this team. I know that meant a lot to you. What would it mean to get a win for this team today?
Oh, it'd be phenomenal. You know, we enjoy coming here. The fans are so loyal and so great. You think this place packs 10,000, it packs 50. So we're really excited. The weather's a bit unknown here today, but definitely we started off on the right foot. To qualify in the pole position really meant a lot for me. It meant a lot for Merchant Services Racing. As you said, it is their first. It was actually a new lap record, I believe, also, so we're pretty excited. I'm working with Anthony Downs, Antonio Downs, whatever you call him, this weekend. He's in the car now, and he'll be doing the first in, I'll be in finishing the race up.
Certainly the weather is threatening to turn ugly. What do you know about this car in the wet?
You know what, we've been on this with this car and on this tire on a few situations so far. We actually qualified here 2 years ago in the wet conditions, so I've got a bit of an idea on what it's like. I don't mind the wet conditions at all, so I know Anthony's hoping for some dry, and heck, when I get in, bring it on.
Yeah, weather could play a big issue. Thank you very much, Kyle.
In P2, Conquest Endurance Racing is competing in their first full season of American Le Mans Series competition with drivers Martin Plowman and his co-driver David Heinemeier Hansen. Martin, this is your first time racing here at Lime Rock Park. What are your expectations for the race?
For us personally, we were just going to go for the win. You know, the car rolled off the truck and we were very strong. The setup all weekend has been great. I mean, in the warm-up we were fastest by about a second, and the crew did an amazing job last night changing our engine. For qualifying, we were a little bit down on power. We found an issue with our main engine, and they stayed up until 1 last night to get it fixed. And then this morning it showed how much we improved, so I just hope that we can stick together for the win.
It's a tired crew, but it's a strong team. They're looking for success.
New Nissan power then behind his teammate David Heinemeier Hansen. And we've got the 55 BMW in pit lane, as we heard about earlier. The 11 car too, it would have started at the back of the grid. Had an accident yesterday with a tip with Damien Faulkner in the 34, the same class of category, but in the pit lane for an infringement. Jamie?
Yes, they did not make it out for the reconnaissance lap in time, but it wasn't at a fault of their own. It was because there are so many fans here at the circuit today, they could not literally get through the crowd in order to get to pit lane and get their time in on the track beforehand. So they do have to start from the pit lane, but I talked to the team and they said they're ready for the fight. They're going to be committed to getting around these cars and having a strong race.
Slightly too long in the wheelbase would have put them at the back of the pack, and that's where Marco Holzer in the 44 Flying Lizard Porsche will start. That car should have been second in GT. It was a stunning lap by Marco Holzer, but in post-race scrutineering, post-race tech, that's when all the cars are taken away to make sure that they're qualified in a legal state. Well, sadly for them, slightly too low. And if you're wondering why that makes a difference, well, you get slightly more aerodynamic advantage when the car's low at the ground. See that gap underneath the car? Well, it makes the car go through the air just a little bit quicker. Now at Corvette Racing, That means they get the effective pole position, but it's not all good news for Corvette because Jan Magnussen had a problem in this morning's warm-up. A very rare mistake by Jan.
Indeed, coming into West Bend, and you can just see there, locks them up. You can see the tyres locked up into the tyre wall. Thankfully, not too much damage, but a mistake there from Jan Magnussen, a rare one at that.
And Jan won't be starting the race. He's down in pit lane with Kelly.
A rare mistake indeed for Jan Magnussen in this morning's warm-up. Obviously the car's okay now, but what happened?
I just hit the side of the brake pedal with my foot, so I didn't get on it correctly. So I was very late with the braking. When I finally hit it, it got sideways and then off.
Team manager Doug Feehan said that he has 4 happy drivers though here at Corvette. Is this the car that you want for the race?
Absolutely. The car was really good. The car's been really good in every practice, also in qualifying. We was just out on the wrong time. But I'm looking forward for the race. Should be good.
All right, we're going green. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks.
And just quickly to wrap up those starting where they shouldn't be, the 0.55 of Christophe Bouchou and Scott Tucker is one of only one of the level 5 cars taking the green flag. It should have been 2. But the way the driver regulations are, Scott Tucker, who drives both cars, couldn't risk going overtime in either one of the cars. It would have disqualified both from the results. The problem was he hadn't done any time in the car that he had nominated for his own driver points for the season. So a bit of a slip up in logistics by level 5. That means they start from the back. No such problems for the local team with Dyson leading round this 29 car field to the start of the 4th round of the American Le Mans Series. Will we get the green this time? The Panamera safety car is off and it's green, and we're racing, and a great start by Chris Dyson and everyone else battling up behind. Looked like the 37 got a great start through there, Jeremy, and the GT cars are already in amongst the PCs, and there's a battle for the lead, and it looks like the Corvette's gone right through and got a couple of laps, couple of cars between himself and the chasing BMW and Porsche.
Yeah, great start there, as you said, by the number 37 car, David Heinemeier Hansen, but look at those battling amongst the GT cars farther back. But Chris Dyson, he was gone as soon as he even got a sniff of the green flag. He was away and out of here, and we've seen all the way through the weekend so far, as we can see right here. You can see all the jump that Dyson got at the start in the Mazda out in front, but all weekend long we've seen it take the Mazda car, the number 20 car, the number 16 car, 2 or 3 laps to really get up to its optimum speed, whereas the HPD car right behind it, the car number 6, that's been on the case right away from the start, and we've seen that here again in the early stages.
That's one battle for one lead in one of the 5 classes here in the 4th round of the American Le Mans Series, and already we're starting to get excited about this, and we've got a mere 2 hours and 44 minutes still to go. Now in the pit lane, there goes the 11 and the 55. They had to wait until the completion of the first racing lap. So these guys now out on the racetrack, but a full lap back from their competition, and that 55 car does not look to be getting up to speed as quick as I thought it might do, Jeremy.
No, that's absolutely right, and he certainly isn't up to speed yet. He's cruising through the S's there.
No, that's not right. I wonder if he's got a fuel pressure problem. They had a fuel leak. Remember, they'd put them into that pit lane start. They didn't get out onto the grid in the required amount of time.
And this is a new rule that is effectively brought in at the last round at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, where if you start the race from the pit lane, you have to start 1 lap down on the field. Honestly, I don't quite understand that rule. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if you've got to start from the pit lane, it's a penalty in of itself, starting with the back of the field. But those are the rules right now, and Rahal Lenneman Ladigan Racing did not comply with them. They had to start from the back and 1 lap down.
Well, whatever problem had befallen that 55 BMW, look, he stayed on the racetrack, Jeremy. He hasn't come in, but he hasn't caught the GTC, the JDX car. Now that looks very similar in that it's a production-based car, a street-based car, but it's not the same category. I'd have thought he'd been passed in by now.
Yeah, I would too, honestly, but it does take a lap or 2 to get the tyres properly up to optimum working temperature, as we saw with Chris Dyson at the front of the field. He's now got, I think, got that car working properly for him. He's able to maintain his advantage over Lucas Luer, and I think it took Bill a lap to get, again, the heat into those Dunlop tyres so that he could push as hard as he really wants to.
The Core Autosport car just making up a position
As we look back to the lead, and it looks as though Lucas is having a look. Coming down the hill there, he made himself very big in Chris Dyson's mirrors. Gets great drive off the diving turn, and look, they're almost catching up the back of the field already. He'll go to driver's right into the first corner, but he can't get it done. That was really tight. Aggressive from both drivers, but racing room asked for and given.
Just about. Yeah, Chris Dyson certainly turned in pretty soon there into Big Bend, into turn 1, but he's able to maintain that advantage, and that's what he needs to do, because you can see the traffic is right ahead of them now. They're going to be in heavy traffic now for most of the rest of the next 2 hours and 40 minutes or so. So, you've got to work your way through here, and it's so critical to not to make a mistake. It's so easy to get just a little bit over enthusiastic, and again, hats off there to Chris Dyson. He realised he wasn't going to get past the Hertz car there, the number 11 Porsche right in front of us, so he backed off going into West Bend, allowed that car to go through, and then jumped past him on the exit.
Bill Oberlin trying to get by, and has he made it? I'm watching two battles at the same time here, and I still don't think that 55 BMW is completely up to snuff, you know. He has got past the JDX, the bright gold Porsche. I wonder if they're going to try and play a tactical game here. He has got by him going into turn 1, but I wonder if they think, having lost a lap early, it's going to be all about them getting some fuel mileage out of this. If you're going to save fuel mileage here, you've got to start right at the beginning of the race. It's no point in trying to do it in the last half hour. That's going to spell tragedy. And we have seen cars run out of fuel in the dying moments here in previous years. We've seen last lap battles in previous years. Now, Lucas Lohr in the very patriotic Stars and Stripes Muscle Milk HPD gets up the inside of the Mazda Lola and goes through. We've got a new leader here at Lime Rock Park. And Chris Dyson is now looking at the back of Lucas Lohr's P1 car. That's the Honda Powered machine.
I think Lucas Lohr is going to check out right now. He's clearly a lot faster, and those early laps couldn't find a way past, but there finally he got a good run down the front straight, made the inside move, stick down into turn 1 at Big Bend, and I think now he's going to set sail, and I fancy that Chris Dyson's going to have a struggle here to keep up with him. But, it's a real mental challenge as much as a physical challenge. It's very hard physically around this little racetrack, but it's hard mentally as well. And that's going to be, I think, what is the determining factor at the end of this afternoon, John.
Just look at the difference in the speeds of the cars. Remember, 5 different categories of cars, 5 different classes, 5 different races, all at the same time. Why don't we have the 5 races separately and spread them out over the day? Because it wouldn't be as much fun. And this is the tradition of multi-class racing that goes back to 1923 with the first running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And look at this, rain is getting heavier on our camera. Now at the moment, it's what I like to call, Jeremy, virtual rain. And what do I mean by that? It's not affecting grip levels, but the drivers can see it. Now this is the Racers Group car, the 66 car, with Pierre at the wheel, and he's coming at the pit lane. He was the first car to go a lap down, and he's got problems.
He has got problems. That's certainly slow coming to pit lane. Mike Pierre, he's joined up this weekend with Spencer Pumpelly in this car for the TRG group. But Mike Pierre, he did this race last year. It was his only previous ALMS start, and he won it. So he's good, looking for 2 in a row here. But the pace he was coming into the pits, I think clearly some sort of a problem.
I think he may have been dead stick. I think the engine may have been off completely there as he came into the pit lane, because he rolled in very slowly indeed. Now they're putting fuel in. They're putting a lot of fuel in for a car that's only done 5 laps. That to me is... And if you look very carefully, you can just see the fuel going on the left-hand tube there that the fuel is putting in. That took a long time. Somebody forgot the dead man's handle, I think.
Yeah, there's a dead man's handle on the tank in the pit lane, which you have to open up to allow the fuel to flow. Maybe that's what happened there. But certainly, another rule of the American Le Mans is you're not allowed to do any other work on the car while you are refueling. That is why the tyre changes were waiting until that fueling was completed.
Ken Dobson just getting back past Tommy Dreesy there, the orange, the yellow and blue car. Sorry, my eyes aren't that bad, promise you. That was the battle for 9th and 10th overall, 3rd and 4th in the Prototype Challenge category.
And this car there, that blue and yellow car, the PR1 Matheson Motorsports car, car number 52, Ken Dobson at the wheel now, also at the wheel this morning in the warm-up session, and on the very first lap, he locked up the brakes going at the end of No Name straight into the chicane and hit the wall. Lost control of the car, spun it into into the barriers on the left-hand side, did quite a lot of damage to the right side of that car. So the PR1 Matheson Motorsports guys have been really busy over the lunchtime repairing that was all the suspension damage and various other bits and pieces as well. And now Ken Dobson is trying to work his way back towards the front.
And he's in among the GTC category. There's a touch there between the 33, the bright green Hornet of Anthony Lazzaro. And, well, that is part of the joy and the danger of multi-class racing.
Concentrate, Tommy. Gotta concentrate. Stick with it. Just run those consistent laps.
And I think Tommy actually has got a problem here, or at least they're running to a particular tactic, because that car has dropped down the field quite significantly. Tommy is a very quick driver, very experienced driver, but he clearly has some frustrations at the moment. Still problems for the TRG Porsche. Oh my goodness me, look at that at the back. Taro is down there.
TRG car. So Mike Pierre thought that he had a flat tire, and he came in. But they had some problems on the wheel well. They're off now, but it must have taken him at least 2 or 3 minutes to get that fixed and figure out what was going on.
It looks to me as though there was a whole load of aluminium turnings on the left rear wheel, as if the wheel had either been moving on the hub or it had been catching on the rear brake caliper, and that had been causing some problems. And fair play to Mike for feeling that and bringing it in before it developed into something more serious, like maybe a breakage on the wheel or a puncture. He's still not up to speed there, Jeremy, but he's just letting the second place car of Chris Dyson go through. He's watching his mirrors.
So that was Michael Marsell, actually, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
My number 20 car, the second of the Dyson Racing cars there. Michael had to take evasive action. He's running in 4th place overall. David Heinemeier Hansen is running in 3rd, just a little bit farther down the road from him. And what a great start by David Heinemeier Hansen. The Danish driver lives now in Chicago, a software developer, very well known in that industry, and he's turning out to be quite a racing driver as well. He only started his career a couple of years ago, but boy, he is fast.
Just going to put a lap on the 66 there. That's the 27, Joey Foster in the Dempsey Racing car with a rather distinctive new livery for the Lola Coupe with the Tud engine. I'm not sure, to be honest. It does look like it's wearing a disguise at the moment, but it's certainly an easy one to pick out. Now, let's check in with another category. This is Antonio Garcia, 5th in Class GT. This is for the fastest of the street-based cars, the cars that you and I would aspire to, Jeremy, if we had enough money in the bank. He's dropped back from the leading group in that very, very exciting starting few laps. We can find out why. Let's have a little look back a few moments ago. On board with the 3. Ahead is the Flying Lizard Porsche. Oh, now did he get a tap there? Yes, he did. And it was from a prototype.
Maybe it was.
I think it's Chris Dyson, and we're on board with Chris now. Let's have a look at that bright yellow car ahead. He goes up the inside. Yes, there's a touch, Jeremy.
Yeah, and he's trying to hang on around the outside of Chris Dyson, who dived clearly to the inside going into West Bend there. So, why Antonio didn't give him a little bit more room, perhaps. He's trying to hang on around the outside and pinch down Chris Dyson. Kind of one of those deals, and that's the sort of thing that's going to happen on this sort of a race. You have to keep your nose clean, which is easier said than done.
Down in 6th position, but battling again for the lead of their class. Oh, look at how tight this is. This is Antonio Downs and Alex Popau. Popau goes through into the lead. That's a change of position and a change of leader in the prototype challenge category. Antonio or Anthony Downs, and there's a bit of a story behind that as we hear that the 16 car with the leader coming through this battle, and Pop-Out just pulls in front of Lucas Lowe. Lucas will not be happy with that. He does like to have a clear track ahead of him. Lucas hasn't really got his head around multi-class racing properly as a driver, and that's allowed the PC cars behind to close back up again. And there's a problem. There's a problem for the second place car in prototype challenge, and that looks like something very, very substantial for that car.
Okay, reset the ignition switch.
What he means is Control-Alt-Delete, I think.
That's exactly right. Some sort of electrical problem there perhaps just caused that that engine to cut out there. Antonio Downs, he's been listed. He was listed as Antonio the first race he did several years ago.
Check the breakers.
His name is actually Anthony Downs, but the kind of the moniker is stuck, so he's always entered as Antonio. But the team referred to him as Anthony. We heard Carl Marcelli when we heard it from him at the beginning of the show. He was kind of alluding to that. Well, that was the inside joke there, Antonio or Anthony. But what a shame for these motion surface guys.
Check all the
two
breakers.
cars entered here. They're only running that one car, but clearly a problem here for Anthony Downs. And he's not able to get that car back underway. Look how quickly the other traffic comes through as well.
Yeah, that's the no-name straight. It's actually got two corners in the early days called Zig and Zag in the 55-year history here at Lime Rock Park. That could well bring out the first full course caution.
Tell me what's going on.
He's got power because the lights are up. As the cars stream through, see the yellow flag in the background, that is warning the cars, that yellow flag there, warning the cars that there's a problem. The white flag means that there's a stationary or slow moving vehicle on the circuit.
I think that flag needs to be a little bit higher.
Right, it's they're being pushed over as well. Lots of hand signals being used, and of course race control will be telling the teams on the radios that all of these cars have exactly what is going on. And already people
communication with you if you can hear me.
I don't think he's got radio contact, you know that? We haven't heard back from the car.
Try the pit speed limiter.
Already the teams up and down pit lane will be scrambling to decide what to do. And there is the full course caution. And we hear from our technicians there has been no answer from the car. The double yellow flags with just 15 minutes gone. And the safety car is deployed here at Lime Rock Park for the first time in the fourth round of the American Le Mans Series presented by Tequila Patron. It's the Northeast Grand Prix, and there is the Panamera, resplendent in its safety car livery. And it will take the field, and it's got right in front of the leader. Pits will be closed, so we have no action for you. You'll miss nothing, but we'll be back with more when we come back to Lime Rock Park and the Northeast Grand Prix for the American Le Mans Series.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The new 911. Porsche Identity.
It's not just what we gave the new Corvette 427 that makes it special. It's what we didn't.
First day of spring. Oh, my battery is perfect.
Yep, we've been on a battery tender for 6 years.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
What do you mean?
Old man forgot to plug me in.
Yeah, before I was on a battery tender, I flatlined. Ouch.
Well, at least this couldn't get any worse.
Don't let your batteries become a statistic. Connect a Deltran battery tender. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
All the excitement of the American Le Mans Series is back.
Great flag and we're racing at Baltimore!
Where technology races into the future and no man is better than his machine. Failure is always a threat when pushing development to its very edge. But survival makes success that much sweeter. This is where technology, passion, and danger meet to create a spectacular orchestra. The American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron. where the technology of speed and danger is everything.
Well, as you can see from that onboard shot of Chris Dyson, he's not having to work too hard. That's because we are under full course caution, and part of the procedure behind the Porsche Panamera safety car is to pass around. Anyone who is off the lead lap in class effectively gets pushed back around to make that back again, to keep them out of the way of everyone who comes into the pits. And they'll do that before everyone pits and the pits is open, so no one gets a massive advantage or disadvantage from that. And remember, the pits are closed at this point, so it will be that number 6 of Lucas Luhr who sees the pits open first. Of course, that's absolutely right, because he's the person who's fought it first. He's one guy who's fought his way through the front of the field. And we're hearing from race control that on this first safety car period, because we're so close to the start of the race, the pits will be open for everyone to come into. It's been a fast and furious 15 minutes before that yellow flag, Jeremy. Now, why is the 55 letting people go past him? Maybe because he's not due the pass around because he's off the lead lap. That's the only thing I can think of.
He is already lapped down to the leader in GT.
Correct. So he would have stayed to the right-hand side group, and
he's not happy.
No. Yes, that's exactly what's happened. That's exactly what's happened.
But he's fallen behind the 44 car there. I don't know, honestly. You got me on that one.
It may be that he had to give up some positions because something happened just before the safety car came out. Let's talk about what's been going on at the front of the field as these guys have fought their way through. Christoph Bouchou in the 055, which is the one of the black level 5 cars, just the one of the level 5 cars in the race. He's up to 4th position from the back of the grid. That's been a pretty good race for him so far. But what about the pace of Lucas Luhr?
Yeah, very impressive. I mean, already he has set a new fastest lap record here for Lime Rock Park on this track configuration. The record was set last year by Guy Smith at a 46.3 second lap, and already in the early stages here, Lucas Luhr is on a 45.9.
No takers for the pit lane from the leaders in. I saw somebody dive into the back there.
This is going to be interesting because we're about almost 20 minutes into the race. Most of the cars here can do about 45 minutes before on a full tank of fuel. Strategy here is crucial.
There's been a raft of GT callers, as you can see, both Corvettes, the Flying Lizard number 45 with the yellow shade band, and the BMW is mostly fuel only. We'll talk about the tactical side of this in a moment when we find out what's been going on with Jamie.
For BMW Team RLL, only the number 56 car came in. The 55 car, when they left pit lane at the beginning of the race, they had 4 new tires and fuel, so the 56 came in, but it was left side tires only.
Down here at Corvette, both the 3 and 4 cars came in, both getting fuel only now. It is worth noting that after there was a contact with the 3 and the number 16 car, they were kind of analyzing whether or not they needed to bring the 3 in if there was any damage. But even as they came in for this fuel stop, I saw fuel only in the number 3.
Thank you very much to our pit lane crew. Interesting tactics there at the head of the field, Jeremy. And now we see one of the Dysons coming in, and that's interesting.
Number 20 car, I think.
That is very interesting. That's Marcel coming into the pits from 6th position.
Already a lap down to the leaders in P1. And it's an interesting timing here because, generally speaking, the cars can do around about 45 minutes or so on a full tank of fuel. In order to score points, a driver has to complete at least 1 hour behind the wheel. We've already done about 20 minutes now, so once we go back to green, they will be able to fulfill that minimum driving time. Now, in several of the classes here, certainly P2, in PC and GTC, they're Pro-Am categories, so you have a professional driver and an amateur driver. If you've got your amateur driver in at the start of the race, which most of the teams do, then they can come into pits now, they can go back out, complete their stint, and then the pro driver can take in and do the final hour and 3/4 of this race, or a little bit more than that. So it's a little bit of a gamble, particularly for the number 16 car, which I think was on pit lane.
No,
it wasn't. Okay,
no. The leading 2 stayed out.
Yeah, fine.
The leading 2 stayed out, which makes sense.
But the P2 leaders, I think both came into the pit lane, and certainly I was talking to David Heinemeier-Hansen beforehand, and this is a good timing for him, because David Heinemeier-Hansen can now get to the end of his next stint. Then he will hand over the car to Martin Plowman, the pro driver, and Martin can then go to the end. And it's interesting to me that Christophe Bouchou in the leading car, the level 5 motorsports car, they've leapfrogged him into the lead.
I'm not sure about that, because they were a different place in the pit lane. They'll have to come past this time before we see the relative positions. We talk about 5 different categories of racing on the circuit with 5 different classes of car, but we've got another race as well, the race to be clean, fast and efficient. In the American Le Mans Series, we call that the Michelin Green X Challenge. And what we're looking at here are 3 separate categories. The amount of fuel and the amount of emissions that the cars produce, well, that contributes to the clean part. Clearly fast, well, that kind of explains itself. The race speed averaged out over the whole race, including pit stops. And how efficient the car is, well, that is the energy used, and you divide that by the mass of the car. Basically what we're looking for there is getting the most speed from every drop of fuel out there. Add those together and you have a coefficient number, and just like in golf, the lowest number is the winner at the end. So we're racing, and we're racing in a responsible and efficient way here in the American Le Mans Series. Now, they've gone through the timing line, and Christophe Bouchou did indeed jump David Heinemeier-Hansen in the 37. So as it stands at the moment, Lucas Luhr in the number 6 leads overall from the 16 Dyson, the Mazda-powered Lola Coupe in second place. They're line astern behind the Panamera safety car. Further back down the field, a lot way further back down the field, because they took their pit stops. Bouchou from Heinemeier-Hansen are 3rd and 4th overall, and leading the P2 category with Joey Foster for Dempsey Racing in that black and checkered car in 3rd position in class. You won't see those guys at this shot. They're way back through the traffic. In PC, Alex Popauer and Ken Dobson are still absolutely together. The 6 and the 52 that we saw battling earlier on in the race. And they're 6th and 7th overall. It's a change around. The 02 Ferrari, the black and green car, now leads from Brian Sellers in the Falcon Tyres Porsche, and that's because of the pit stop strategy.
Yeah, because they did not make a pit stop.
There they are.
And they are the 2 leaders in GT. So those guys didn't pit. Everybody else behind did make a pit stop.
And so Tommy Milner is the Corvette, who is the first of the cars who pitted, and he'll just be out. He's just out of shot at the moment in the bright yellow CompuWare Corvette. And there he is there. That's the number 4 car. And if you look just a little bit further ahead, you can see the gold Porsche. That stands out really well. Well, the leaders in his class are just up there. So he's got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars to get by before he gets up to those 2 cars, the Ferrari and the Porsche. That's 1st and 2nd. But remember, they're going to also pit stop earlier than Tommy is. And Tommy's got Pat Long riding his wheel tracks as well for Flying Lizard Motorsport in the now famous silver and red combination. Looks like we're getting up to speed, and the Porsche Panamera safety car may well be heading the pit lane. It is done, and has done, in fact. And there goes Lucas Luhr, gets a really good restart, and across the line he's 3/4 of a second ahead of Chris Dyson. Not noted to be a slow starter, so Lucas Luhr got on the gas nice and early, coming down the hill towards the final right-hander. Can't pass the pace car, the safety car, of course, before the pits. Oh my, look at this. This is the P2 battle in traffic, Jeremy, and that 37 and 55 are battling for position in amongst everybody else.
That's right, GT cars, GTC cars, and the difference between those two is the level of modifications on the cars. The GTC cars are much less sophisticated than the GT cars with which we are aboard right now. The Corvette chasing the BMW, but as you say, these prototype 2 cars trying to make their way through as well. Whoa, that's Antonio Downs again, actually. He's got his car out again, but was tagged there in the rear coming through the chicane.
And he's got damage. He's got damage to the back and the left rear. He's going to need to pull off out of the way. That tyre is going to take a heck of a battering there. The 66 TRG Porsche steers to the right.
There's a big bottleneck into the...
Yeah, he got hit from behind, and he's saying he's going to bring that car into the pit lane. Now, what a disastrous start for Merchant Services Racing. A super little team. They're really doing a good job. A brand new team for this season. And Kyle Marcelli put that car on a pole with a just magnificent effort to beat Bruno Junqueira in qualifying, but now they've had problems.
8th and 9th in GT, battling ahead of the Porsche that we're on board with at the moment with the Dunlop tyres is the Alex Job Racing, the 23 Lotus Evora. This is a car that's new to the series, in full series competition this year, with the Alex Job team, who for a long time were a Porsche semi-factory and factory team, multiple champions in the American Le Mans series, and now the battery tender supported machine are fielding this brand new Lotus Evora and developing the car as they go along. Now further up the field in the GT category, what a fantastic start by the number 3 Corvette of Antonio Garcia. Those two cars are for position, the other Corvette and the 45 Flying Lizard, the red rear end. Now watch what happens here with Antonio Garcia. He bides his time. Here's the patience we talked about earlier, but when he gets the opportunity to strike, my goodness me, how decisive is that?
Indeed, and he kind of used that Green Hornet car, the GTC Porsche, as a pick there, and was able to dive down to the inside into the left-hander and take away a couple of positions.
Up to 4th position now and chasing Patrick Long. There is Patrick with the yellow shade band on that Porsche. Heading out of the final corner. Oh, look at the vet. The vet's got a super run. And Patrick goes to the middle of the road. He knows he's in trouble. Lost one of his headlights there. He's had to go defensive halfway down the straight. That's perfectly acceptable. He claimed his piece of road early, made his intentions known to the driver behind him. Basically what he's saying there, Jeremy, is if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to go Buffalo Gals round the outside.
Indeed, that is the case. And there's battles all the way through the field here. I'm just wondering whether Bill Auberlen actually did get his lap back during that caution when the other leaders came in to the pits. Did he get that lap back? I think he didn't, but it was, yeah, he didn't quite make it back.
No, and in fact there is that battle we were looking at, and the number 4 is Tom Milner with Joey Hand just ahead of him in that white BMW M3, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan team. Bobby Rahal in fine form this weekend, and yes, that is the Bobby Rahal Indianapolis 500 winner. I had a good chat with him last night about his time in Europe, one of the few American drivers who came over and did an apprenticeship in Formula 2 and Formula 3. And
I first met him, driving a Dallara in Formula 3.
He was the first person ever to drive a Dallara in Formula 3. Sorry, that's your Anorak fact of the weekend for Bobby Rahal. And Pat Long in that Porsche actually is a driver from a different generation who did exactly the same thing. Came to Europe to learn his trade, and he's been plying that trade to good effect as a Porsche supported driver. Drives to the factory, been with Flying Lizards seemingly forever and a day now, and really one of the poster children for American road racing stars. He is a super driver, right up there with the best, as you can see here, using all of that skill. Little battles all over the racetrack. The 5th and 6th battle, the BMW and the Corvette, and therefore that must be the 3rd and 4th for Pat Long and Antonio Garcia by a process of elimination, you understand.
Yeah, and the first two are about 6 or 7 seconds, I think, farther ahead of these guys on the racetrack. So this is there is Patrick Long leading Antonio Garcia, and then Joey Hand and Tommy Milner battling for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th positions.
Leader just going through there, the Stars and Stripes car. And Guy Cosmo and Brian Sellers, remember, will be trying to disappear into the distance. And there he is. And he's pulled out on that last lap. He's pulled out just a wee bit because they were
clear
pretty close.
By 20 to Sellers.
Yeah, he makes 20 cars lengths there. It's only about 1.5 seconds.
Right, and right behind Bill, the second place car, there is Bill Auberlen. I was wondering whether he made his lap back. He didn't quite, but that is Bill Auberlen. He is 3rd place on the road in GT, but he's a lap down, so he needs to get past Brian Sellers, and then if he can make up that ground and overtake the Ferrari's Guy Cosmo as well, then he's back on the lead lap, and then he's back in business.
Damage on the nose of the Falcon car, so there's been a little bit of jiggery and, if you will, pokery. More of the pokery than the jiggery. That's the car, that is the Porsche that hit the number 8 prototype earlier on and had that incident. Now, why is this important that Bill Auberlen gets by him? First of all, he'll be spitting that these two guys didn't pit, because he would have then got his lap back. He needs to get back on the lead lap. Remember what Jeremy was saying right at the start of the show. This is a short track, and if you get a lap down, you do have an opportunity to get it back, but you've got to do it as quickly as possible. And Bill now has an opportunity as the TRG Porsche goes another lap back to these guys. That's not in the same class, and Bill will be trying to get by. And in fairness, Brian Sellers won't want to let him by, because he's another guy he's going to have to pass later.
He won't, but as we look at
big
sideways
slide.
there, we heard Bill say earlier he's not going to take any prisoners. He is going to go for it. That is the second of the flying loser cars. Seth Neiman being lapped there at the tail end of the pack. So he's actually made up one position now as Bill Oblin in the class in GT. But we heard Bill say, didn't we, at the top when he was talking down before the start of the race, he's not going to take any prisoners. He's already a lap down. He's just going to go for it. And Brian Sellers said, you better be careful, because Bill is coming and he wants past. And if he's up alongside him, I think he's going to really force the issue.
And again, you saw the relative speed of the prototypes going through as the leader went by. Look how quickly Lucas Slur's making off into the distance and becoming a small white dot on our camera. Now, this is where Brian Sellers had problems with the rear of the Porsche last time. He brakes just a tad earlier, gets that car slowed right down, and Oblin will try to use the V8 power. The front engine, of course, for the engine in the front for the M3, engine right over the back wheels for the Porsche, and that helps going up the hill. All the weight falls to the back onto the back wheels, gives great traction going up the hill.
Indeed, on the previous lap we saw Brian Sellers there, the Falcon car got really sideways coming out of the chicane. This time he got a good clean run out of it, but look at that run that Bill Oblin got through the diving turn. He's going to make a move down to the inside. Brilliant. There he goes to make that pass, but now he's got that GTC car there as well.
The car number 17 of Brian Sellers will be coming to pit lane this time. The last couple of laps, Brian was on the radio telling the team he had a vibration in the left rear. He didn't know if it was pickup or what was going on. One thing the American Le Mans Series allows these cars to have is live telemetry. So the pit crew has sensors on those tires. They radioed back to Brian and said, you have a tire going down, pit this time, and he will be coming in.
Yeah, and he's now, of course, got the problem of a whole train of traffic coming through, and that is a classy and smart move from Brian. He knows the car is slow, he's got offline, and in fact he's got a left rear tyre gone down. That's a flat on that car, and that's what he was feeling. So that just shows you how highly tuned the senses of a driver are. He felt that tyre even before they saw it on the telemetry, or indeed it went flat.
Yeah, and we were kind of watching the back of that car, weren't we, from on board with Bill Oblin, and we didn't see the tyre going down, but it obviously went down very quickly there. I think on No Name straight away, but he's able to bring that car now back to the pit lane, but certainly lost a lot of time as Brian Sellers.
But again, he's not got in anybody else's way and ruined anybody else's race. Classy move from Brian Sellers, and it's only what we've come to expect from another really great American road racer. And that is a very used Falcon tyre on that left rear. Now, they'll fill the car up with fuel first before they do anything else. And this is going to put those guys off the lead lap.
Fuel and complete, tires now going on. They got lucky with this one though, guys. It's such a short lap. There's not a lot of time to do any body damage, and that certainly is the case. The car still looks clean back here. There is some heavy damage to the front of the car though from that contact earlier in the race with that PC car.
Clear behind.
That's a pretty slick stop by the Falcon guys. It's a team sport in every single respect, and those guys have got to do their bit. Brian back out off the pit lane speed limiter, and if you look back down the straight, I would guess that you'll see the same cars that he was battling with not so very long ago have already gone through, and he's dropped the lap. So back to this gaggle of GT cars battling for second, third, fourth and fifth position. There's Pat Long, and he's being closed down on by a trio of V8 engines, 24 cylinders gaining on poor Pat Long very quickly indeed.
Yeah, and you're right, all three all those other guys are ganging up here on Patrick Long, and Patrick Long lost on the previous lap about over a second to Guy Cosmo, but that's how much he extended his lead. This time around though, Patrick does a good lap of 52.6, a little bit better than before, certainly Guy Cosmo of 53.0, but there's a substantial gap now between first and second in this class. It's about 9 seconds, but look at the battle now, second, third, fourth and fifth it is, with Brian Sellers having made that pit stop and dropped off the lead lap in GT.
The GMG Porsche in GTC does the same thing as Brian Sellers does, takes discretion as the better part of valor. James Sofran has there
deciding it was better not to get involved.
Indeed, James Sofronis, he led this lap, the start of GTC in the early laps of the race. James Sofronis in that car number 32, but he slipped back to 30. I think he made a pit stop during that first caution period, so he fell back a little bit, but he's moving up. He's been moving up again. He's up to third place in the class, but again, discretion the better part of valor there. Give up a couple of seconds, but at least give himself the opportunity not to get involved in an incident.
And I've been reminded by the talent in the truck that at a driver's briefing a few years ago, our previous race director told the drivers, if you think you're going to get in trouble there with faster cars, it's much better to take that exit. Now, in fairness, he's not gaining anything from that, so there's no need to apply a penalty. And Paul Walters, who is our current race director, has gone along with that and said to the guys, you've got to use your common sense, guys. When you're rejoining after that, just make sure everything's okay. I'm not going to ask you to come to a dead stop, but just make sure you join the track in a safe manner. And it's one thing I like about the officiating here with the guys. They're letting the guys in the position make the decision and use a bit of common sense and discretion. And James Sofronis, and before that Brian Sellers, doing just that and making sure that no one else's race was affected.
Yeah, indeed. Well, that was amazing, wasn't it? On board there with Christoph Busch.
I was slightly holding my breath there.
Level 5 motorsports car, the P2 car, working its way through that whole gaggle of traffic very, very cleanly, though, from one side of the road to the other, and passing different cars.
3 different categories of cars in one shot for a moment there. Yep. 3 of the 5. That is the GTC leader. Started from the pole on GTC, has stayed out of trouble. And that WeatherTech Alex Job racing car, yes, that is the same team that's running the Lotus Evora. 2 different cars, 2 different manufacturers, 2 different classes, but Alex Job Racing proving that they are still a force to be reckoned with in the American Le Mans Series.
That's right, it was Lee Keane that put that car on the pole. It's now Cooper McNeil, a youngster. He's a university student, and he's a pretty good student of motor racing as well. He's done a nice job in the early stages. He took over the lead of the class when James Sofronis made that pit stop during the caution. And he's now making hay at the front of the field. The sun might not be shining, but he's certainly making hay. And just a couple of cars farther back behind him, you'll see there it is, the Green Hornet car coming through the corner as well. That is Anthony Lazzaro in car number 33. That is a second place car in GTC right there, car number 33. As David Heinemeier Hansen moves his way past, you can see there the 2 GTC leaders very, very close together now.
I did say we were close to the action when we were trackside here. The crowd is really enjoying it with still over 2 hours of racing to go here at Lime Rock Park. Sometimes, you know, you don't really know where to look, but the good news is there's always action in the American Le Mans Series.
I'm Bryce Miller, and I'm going to show you what a pit stop is like here in the American Le Mans Series coming up later in the broadcast.
Hey, if you're like me, you hate when your gas-powered equipment won't start. It turns out the ethanol in street gas was causing deposits and dissolving my fuel lines. But then I tried SCF small engine fuels. For 2 cycles, SCF is pre-mixed with oil, so you just pour it in and you're done. There's no ethanol in SCF, so you get quick starts even after long-term storage. Try SEF. It's the perfect fuel for gas-powered tools.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The new 911.
Corvette engineer who happened to take a stock Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 to the Nürburgring and shook the automotive world with a lap of under 7 minutes and 20 seconds. He was only doing his job. Get back to work, Jim. See the full lap at Chevy.com/ZR1.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
Sports car race fans, Petit Le Mans is coming to Road Atlanta October 17th through the 20th. See Porsche, Ferrari, BMW, Corvette, Viper, and more battle on the track at 200 miles per hour. Don't miss night practice, the vendor village, the kid zone, the driver autograph sessions, and the open paddock. Kids under 12 get in free. Petit Le Mans, October 17th through the 20th. Get your tickets now at roadatlanta.com.
Michelin has found early success this season. They've won all 3 ALMS races overall and 2 of the 3 GT races. And they've done it in a variety of ways using some interesting new technology. The Audis, which won both Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, feature Michelin's latest ultra-wide front tires. The Muscle Milk Honda prototype won Long Beach on new street soft tires, and at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca by double stinting street soft tires. And Corvette won the last 2 races while using Michelin's new taller front GT tires. As always, the goal for Michelin is to use that data and technology they collect here at the track and put it to use on everyday street tires.
Kelly Stavist giving us the background. This is very, very bad news for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing in their HPD Honda-powered car. And there's a problem at the back of that car. Came in from...
Make sure it moves. Try to move it, guys.
They're trying to move the rear axle as if there was a diff problem or a gearbox or driveline problem. Kelly Stavist is there.
Early word here from the number 6 Muscle Milk car is Lucas reporting he's having trouble shifting. It looks like they may have just replaced that steering wheel. You also saw him move around to the back of the car to see what's happening. Still going to work. They weren't. They don't have a whole lot of urgency. At least they didn't when he first came in. I think they were trying to diagnose the problem.
It's moving the actuator. Actuator in the back, but I don't know if it's moving it enough.
What he's talking about there, the actuator, is the physical part of the gearbox that moves to shift the cogs so you can make the shift. The guys nowadays have got paddle shift, so they don't have to get hold of a gear lever like in the old days and stir it. That is done
electronically.
Yes, but at some stage that electronically.
Yep. It's converted into mechanical.
It's converted into mechanical energy, and that's the problem at the moment. The bit that's supposed to do the shifting isn't. It's not the driver anymore. It's an electronic mechanical switch, and you can see there on the top of the gearbox the guys are looking down and asking Lucas to flick the paddles to try and make that piece of metal rod move. That's what he's doing there. The left-hand side is downshifting, and he's trying to get it back down into neutral, whilst the other guys are working out whether it's actually moving and moving the cogs within the gearbox itself. Now if that's not working, that's not the work of a moment to fix this, and this is absolutely draining time from this car and draining their chances of a victory.
Yeah, and the championship aspirations
the actuator,
as well.
hang on, we're looking at it. It's not the actuator.
It's not the actuator we're hearing there.
Dear.
So they held a 4-point lead in the championship. ECU.
Ignition on, reset ECU.
Reset, yeah, as you were saying earlier on, John, Control Alt Delete, just try and reset the electronics on those cars. There's a lot of sophisticated electronics here, operating all sorts of different systems, not only on the engine.
Down, see if everything's working. We think everything will be working.
That's Brandon Fry, the technical director at Muscle Milk Racing.
Why is it when you turn something off and turn it back on again, it comes back on? So that then,
get out of here.
that then, not a mechanical problem, that's a computer glitch. Just like when you have to reboot back home, whether it's your smartphone, your PC or whatever, they've basically just turned off the power, reset everything and done what people in the computer trade call a hard reboot. Cut the power to it, let it reset, it's gone back to its factory defaults, and now, look at that, it's perfect. How frustrating must that be?
Yeah, hey presto, he's back in action. That's the good news. The bad news is he's 4 laps down now to Chris Dyson in car number 16, their arch rivals at Dyson Racing. And worse news for them, Michael Marsell in the number 20 car for Dyson Racing. He was a couple of laps down already on our overall race leader, but he is now in second place, so that puts the Muscle Milk car down to third overall, or third in P1. in the Prototype 1 category, the big prototype cars. So he's now got to make 2 laps up on that number 20 car to get back to second place. And if that was the situation, he would only lose 4 points in the overall championship standings, and that would mean they could leave here tied on points.
And there's your new leader overall, potentially going to the head of the championship lead. Let's head back to the street category, the most modified street category that we have, GT. And this is Bill Auberlen continuing his run through the field. He's in 9th position. Remember, he started a lap back, and he's carving his way through. And look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4 different categories of cars. There's the Bill Sweegler car, that's the car he's racing for position, the Black Lotus. He's got down the inside. Poor Bill Sweegler was mugged there by about 3 different cars, and Bill Auberlen says, thank you very much, I won't take second helpings there.
More significantly now, they're right ahead of him now. There he is, that is Guy Cosmo. He is leading the class in GT. So if we talked about it a while ago, and at that stage, Bill Auberlen was almost 10 seconds behind Guy Cosmo. Well, look, you can see the gap right now. It's less than a car length. Bill Auberlen wants to get back onto the lead lap, and then he's back in business very much. So if there would then be another full course caution, he could come around to the tail end of the field.
But here's the odd thing, Auberlen's made up 10 seconds. Pat Long is still 7 seconds further back, and the frustration continues for Lucas Luhr because he was speeding in pit lane. I was about to say the only good thing about that is that Lucas Luhr with the red mist in a fast car. Oh, and look at this, there's the leaders in GT coming through, and Auberlen gets round the outside. He's trying to get his lap back. There was a little tickle on the left rear of the Ferrari, who goes wide, and Auberlen, remember, he's not going to be gentlemanly. He is not going to be saying, after you, Claude. No. He's going to be up the inside as soon as he can. Watch him dodge to drivers right here as they come down into the chicane. He's right on the exhaust pipes of that 458 Italia.
He's also made up a position because passing the Chopin watches Porsche here. That has moved Bill Auberlen now up to the 7th place in GT, and again he wants to get past. There's that's the second place car, I think, or the first place car now, of course, of Chris Dyson, the overall race leader, who's also carving his way through the traffic in clear air. That car is capable of doing 43-second laps. Last time around was a 50.9, so 8 seconds he lost in traffic that lap, actually, as he worked his way past Auberlen. It was a 52.6, so almost 10 seconds Chris Dyson lost on that one lap compared to what that car is ultimately capable of doing.
He was side by side with the Ferrari there for a moment. He used the superior acceleration. See him click down one gear, watch his fingers just flicking on those paddles, and there you go. That's the difference between a purebred prototype car, which weighs less and makes probably as much if not more power as the car behind, and that's what happens. Basically, it's an unequal contest. That's why we have different categories. It wouldn't be fair to race that Ferrari against the purebred thoroughbred of the prototype category. And Chris Dyson showing again commendable patience and restraint. I did notice he gave those cars on the front straight a very wide berth last time around.
That's right. We also have the 3 categories in prototypes. So over the P1 cars, that is our overall race leader, Chris Dyson. Those are the most sophisticated cars, arguably on the planet in motor racing these days.
That's true.
And the P2 cars are a little bit less horsepower, more production-based. They are much more cheaper to run, a lot less expensive to run than the P1 cars. Slightly, fewer gizmos on those cars. Plus, they have to have a Pro-Am driver pairing as well in the P2 category.
Watching the BMW in 4th position in GT, that's Joey Hand. Tommy Milner in the black and yellow Corvette, right in his wheel tracks, and then Johannes van Overbeek in the 01. The ESM Ferrari Italia. These guys are on the lead lap, and for me, it looks like the rain has started to drizzle again, despite the fact there's some blue sky on the picture, just a few drops. This again is still virtual rain. It's not making the surface wet and slippery yet, but some drivers will react to that. And what you've got to do, and it's hard, Jeremy, isn't it? You've got to kind of just accept that the rain's going to be on the windscreen and trust what you're feeling through the front and the rear of the car. Big charge up the outside by Tommy Milner, but Joey Hand is defending stalwartly. And here's Johannes van Overbeek, he's got a great view. The thing is, he's watching that, he's a race fan, he's going to be saying this is fantastic, but of course he's got to remember he's in the same battle as well. It's easy actually to get caught up with what you're seeing in front of you.
Yeah, you've got BMW and Corvette and Ferrari here battling absolutely nose to tail. Tremendous stuff. And this is only for what, 4th place in the class, isn't it?
Did you hear the clunk there when he went down into first position, gear on that Ferrari? Dunlop tyres on the BMW, 2 cars ahead of us. And then these 2 cars, the Ferrari and the Corvette in front of us, both on Michelin. Tyre battle in the American Le Mans Series. We're looking for excellence here. This is not all about spec racing and making it and contriving racing. These cars very, very different. 2 big front-engine V8s there as Milner trying to come around the outside, the mid-engine Ferrari, and Johannes van Overbeek starts to sniff an opportunity. Just a little tap on the right rear of Milner's car.
Joey Hand very defensive.
Very defensive.
Straight, and he's inviting Tommy Milner to try and go around the outside of him there, and that almost gave Johannes van Overbeek, as you were saying, an opportunity to dive down the inside. Not quite on that lap. 55 laps these guys have done already.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
And nobody knows better the BMW than Tommy Milner, of course, because he's got experience of being a BMW driver in a previous life.
That's right, yeah. A couple of years ago, he was driving for Bobby Rahal's team, switched over to Corvette when he got that opportunity last year. And this year, he's really doing a fantastic job. He's really stepped up his game this year, Tommy Milner, with Oliver Gavin. They've won their class on a couple of occasions. They're on the podium in the 3rd race as well. So they are the class leaders in the championship in G2 coming into this fourth round at Lime Park.
Now here's an opportunity for Johannes van Overbeek. He's going to get in behind the number 20 of Mike Marcel. That's the prototype ahead, another Dunlop tired car, and try and sneak through when the gap opens up, as it surely will. And there is the 27 Dempsey Racing. That's Joey Foster. He's in 3rd position in P2, 4th overall. He'll not want to be held up. Look at the battles here, and again, that's Hennemeyer, Hansen and Foster. They're battling for position there.
No, not for position. Foster's almost a lap down.
Oh, he is. You're right.
But Hennemeyer Hansen there in that orange and silver car. That is the 3rd place overall, still on the same lap as our overall leader, Chris Dyson. Doing an excellent job too, I have to say. Christoph Bouchou 2nd overall in car number 055 for Level 5 Motorsports, the leader in the P2 category. He's only about 12 seconds behind Chris Dyson. Remarkable job he is doing.
And this battle that we're watching has Bill Oberlin hoving into view in the rear mirrors. He's closing them down hand over fist. Took nearly 3 seconds out. In fact, right on 3 seconds out of them last time around. He's in clear air in 7th position in the GT category. Joey Hand for the moment has just pulled away.
He's still behind though. He's still behind Ferrari, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still yes, he is still behind the lead car of Guy Cosmore. That's right. He needs to get through. He's 40 odd seconds behind now. Here we go again, and this time it's Johannes van Overbeek who's having a go at Joey Hand because he's gone through and took that position. Oh, it makes it look easy. Makes it look simple. Now that's interesting because Milner couldn't get that done for 3 laps going Buffalo Gals round the outside, and then Johannes van Overbeek with a little more power from the Ferrari this weekend. The restrictors on the engine have been opened up, and what that means is the engine breathes better, it can take in more air. If you know anything about internal combustion engines, the more air you can take in, the more fuel you can burn, therefore the more power you make.
Exactly right, and 0.6 of a millimetre is the change on that restrictor size. That's how much it's been opened up. 0.6 of a millimetre doesn't sound like a heck of a lot, but it's giving them probably another 10 or 15 horsepower, and it's certainly making a difference.
Chris Dyson helping.
Blast of Jamie from the pits there for the moment. We'll get back with her in a moment. With still 1 hour and 46 minutes to go, and this GT battle is raging, with the Corvette of Tommy Milner now watching Johannes van Overbeek disappear into the distance. That was the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th rather. Van Overbeek, Milner and Joey Hand all of a sudden finds himself down in 6th position. Oh, and a big spin! That was the 25 car of Henri Richard, caught the curb coming up the uphill chicane, and was already sideways when Tommy Milner hit him. That was not Tommy Milner's fault. And there's been a change of lead, Jeremy, change of lead there.
The racing, I think, has been onto the pit lane, as we see on Richard there in that Dempsey Racing PC car. He's running in...
Oh, he's overheating that as well.
Yeah, he's still running 8th place overall, but that's going to cost him...
Pit, Henri, pit. Oh, he can't get in. He can't get into the pits because there was a car up his outside. And there's the 56th of Joey Hand. He's been bumped down to 6th position. Has he got a flat left front tyre? Is that Dunlop down?
Struggling to find reverse gear there on that BMW. There he is. Yeah, the left front, I think, is down. Is it?
Yes, it is. Oh, and he's gone a long way off. He's going to have to pay to get back in. He's gone so far off there. Now, that may have been contact issues. And he's touring. So after all that hard work, Joey Hand in the 56 Crown Plaza BMW is pushed back down the field. So incident following incident here at the 4th round of the American Le Mans Series. Just an hour gone, and we've already had enough to talk about to fill a whole season.
Yeah, and on lap 63, we saw the, well, we didn't see, unfortunately, but the overall race leader, Chris Dyson, brought that car into the pit lane, handed over to Guy Smith. That has elevated Christophe Bouchou in car number 055, the P2 leader, into the overall race leader. Didn't see that pit stop. We believe it was clean, and Guy Smith is now at the wheel of car number 16.
Well, we know as soon as we start to see Smithy's lap times.
Here now, Joey Hand just limping that car around. He wants, as we heard about earlier on, we want to make sure he doesn't damage the bodywork too badly.
Correct.
As he limps that car back to pit lane. But boy, this is costing him a lot of ground.
So Christophe Bouchou leads in a P2 car from David Ennemeyer Hansen. Remember, these cars pitted. There is your leader. And he sneaked through then when the leader was in the pits. Remember, these guys took the chance to pit at the first caution, and that's played out for them.
Yes, it has. I'm still slightly surprised at the strategy for Level 5 motorsports. I can certainly understand it for Conquest Endurance because of what we talked about earlier on. David Heinemeier Hansen, when he comes in for his next scheduled pit stop, which I would expect to be in, actually not very long, actually, probably the next 5 minutes or so, then Martin Plowman will get behind the wheel of car number 37 and take it to the end. This team, however, Christophe Bouchou will hand over the car to Scott Tucker, who I expect to take the middle stint of the race. But as I said earlier on, these cars can only do about 45 minutes on a tank of fuel. That means once Scott Tucker gets behind the wheel of this car, and he is the amateur driver, let's not forget, very accomplished amateur driver, won all sorts of championships in SCCA, who certainly isn't the same overall caliber, without being disrespectful to these true paid professionals, but that means that Tucker is going to have to do a whole stint, and that is not going to be enough even then to fulfill his 1 hour minimum drive time, so he's going to do another stint as well. And I fancy that might play into the hands of Conquest Endurance at car number 37.
We saw the BMW going back out of the pits. That would be the 56 car. Dirk Muller has got aboard that car, and that wasn't in there long enough to have anything but tyres and fuel. So that car must have been otherwise undamaged after its excursion on the runoff at the end of turn 1. Bouchou down an extra gear there as he comes up to the back of the extreme speed Ferrari Italia, the 01 car. 4th position for Johannes van Overbeek with his teammate Guy Cosmo leading the GT category at the moment. So here's your positions then with just over an hour gone. The 055 on board with level 5 leading the race, but owing us a pit stop in the pit lane. That is the 34. It's the Peter Lesafre driven GTC of Green Hornet, and I think he's just giving that car over to Damien Faulkner. So that should change as he pops back out if you're following along on the online timing and scoring, and if you're not, you should be www.alms.com. and you can see the same timing screens as we do here in the booth.
And again, just over an hour into the race there for Peter Lesafre to come in and make that pit stop. It hasn't changed on the scoring yet, but we expect it to. We expect Damien Faulkner now to be at the wheel of car number 34 and to take it to the finish. In car number 33, their teammate, it has just flipped over now, 33, which Anthony Lazaro is driving, and has taken over the lead of the class in GTC from Cooper McNeil, who we saw leading in the 22 car earlier on. Peter Lesafre owns both of those cars. He's going to drive them both as well.
So Bouchou from Hennemeyer Hansen, 055 from 3.7 in second. Guy Smith is the leading P1 car, and there he goes, with damage on the left rear of that number 1 Dyson car, the number 16 Dyson car rather. As Smithy goes through to complete his lap number 68 with Joey Foster, 3rd place in P2, pretty close to the back of him at the moment. Just looking at the GT category, there a little bit of dirt kicked up by the BMW.
Yeah, that was Bill Oblin, wasn't it? You could see it falling back a little bit there from the Extreme Speed Motorsports Ferrari of Guy Cosmo. He was challenging and trying to get back onto the lead lap, but from that shot we saw right there, there was probably 3 or 4 seconds between the Ferrari in the lead. Here it is coming down the downhill onto the front straight. That Ferrari right here, the black and green car, that is Guy Cosmo, the class leader in 02, and about 2 or 3 seconds behind him now is Bill Aubrey in the BMW, still a lap down.
Leading PC car has just made a trip down pit lane. The 06 Core Motorsport car, Alex Potter, gave up the lead to Ken Dobson. They've had a cracking scrap right from the start of this race, so now it's the 52 car that leads.
Yeah, and hats off to Ken Dobson. He made that mistake in the warm-up this morning. Quite a lot of damage to that PR1 Mathis Motorsports car number 52. He's got it back on track. He's had a very nice, clean opening descent.
He's one of the instructors at Sonoma at the sim race with driving experience there. Very, very experienced driver. Here's Ken, lovely bloke as well. And he is one of those people, very wide on that BMW. He is one of those people who has got a talent and has the skill to be able to explain what he's doing as he's doing it. And that's never an easy thing to do. Anybody who just sits next to people who can't drive going around racing circuits gets a big thumbs up from me. It's a very, very scary thing to do and a very, very intense thing to do. And he's got good powers of concentration. Watching the 55 of Jörg Muller on board with him now.
That's right, Jörg Muller, there's the key. He made a pit stop. Bill Oblin has given up that number 55 car to Jörg Muller, so
both
that
the
is why.
at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. Dirk Muller with car number 56 had been taken over from Joey Handel. We saw had that off down in turn 1, and that puncture made it back to the pit lane, changed the tyres, filled up with fuel, and changed the driver as well. So we're saying it's on board with Bill Oblin. It's actually not Bill aboard that car. It is Jörg Muller, and he is still a lap behind. It was more than a lap behind now, the leader in GT, but we expect Guy Cosmo to bring that number 02 Ferrari. Very frugal, getting very good fuel economy with that car. The Ferrari that is leading GT, but I do expect him onto pit lane very shortly now.
So the two BMWs suffering all kinds of travails during the race are actually down in 10th and 9th in the GT category. Now let's just check in at the front of the GT field, where the 01 of Guy Cosmo has yet to pit, 02, excuse me, of Guy Cosmo, the ESM Ferrari, the black and green machine with a little bit of a quicker motor this weekend, and he's yet to pit. He's got Tom Kimber-Smith about to go by him in the 06 Core Motorsport car that he's just taken over. That was the leading car, remember, we told you that had pitted. So looking back from Guy Cosmo, we've got to look back all the way to Pat Long, who is now in 2nd place in GT. And that is because we're starting to see... Oh, and another off for the BMWs. Jörg Muller. Wow. It's interesting. I wonder if they just haven't got the balance of that car quite right this weekend. They don't like the car. They don't like that car pushing, understeering. And what I mean by that is when you turn the front wheel and the car doesn't turn, the wheels just chatter across the surface. What you tend to do then is try and put more steering lock in, turn the wheel more, and that actually just makes it worse. And all you're doing is scrubbing off speed and wearing your front tyres very, very quickly indeed. It's actually counterintuitive, but you've got to come off the steering. Oh, there's damage. There's damage to the left of that hood of the bonnet. Oh, in fact, it's coming up. The 56 car's going to have to come in again, Jeremy.
Yeah, it is. What a nightmare race this is turning out to be for BMW. One of their cars hobbled before the start. That had already, it's had plenty of speed this weekend. It was on the pole position with Bill Oblin, a magnificent pole that was. Dreadful luck to have the fuel system problem after the warm-up They had to start one lap down, and they had a problem, and now we've already seen one problem in number 56 car, and here he is back onto pit lane.
Oh,
wow.
Dear.
Very, very costly.
And this effectively BMW's home track.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of people.
guests.
Yeah, a lot of people staying at the Crown Plaza at Danbury last night from BMW. They don't have a long way to come from their US headquarters, and it's always been thought of as their local track. And it may just be a refit of the hood there. What you don't want is for there to be any problems with the cat. Oh no, that's hinges. That's the wrong end for the catches, and you see the problem there, Jeremy. They can't get it unfastened.
Go, go, go.
And Joe, if they're going to send Dirk Mueller back out without the hood, that is within the rules. They were going to try and tape it down, but they didn't feel like they could get it secure enough, so they just sent him back out without it.
Not sure what that's going to do to the aerodynamics. There are some slots in the hood that help with the front end grip, and I don't think they've got a front end grip problem at the moment. Certainly they're not going to have any problem with cooling that BMW V8 engine as it stands at the moment. But it'll be interesting to see just how the airflow is affected. You can see if you look very carefully behind the traditional kidney grills, and those black kidney grills are new for this weekend. You see the two trumpets there? That's the air intakes for the engine. And you can see, it's really cool actually, you can see exactly how the air is fed directly into the engine, into the injector part of the engine. It's called the plenum chamber, where the air and the fuel are mixed. No hood on that car means at least we know which one it is. Cool. So in GT, Guy Cosmo making great mileage. So Pat Long close down to 19 seconds from Guy Cosmo, who's making great mileage in that 0-2 ESM Ferrari, and I'm impressed. I mean, they got to the front through strategy, they've stayed at the front through speed.
Yeah, they have. They're running very, very nicely indeed. Absolutely superb run by Guy Cosmo at the front of the field. And we get back to Pat Long, I think it was about 14 seconds last time around, so he's actually managed to extend that gap a little bit. It's been fluctuating around about 10 seconds, but he's certainly running very, very strong. Here we are now on board our overall race leader. We talked about Chris Dyson having made the pit stop in the overall leader, car number 16, and this has allowed Christophe Boucher to take up the overall lead in the P2 car. He's due a pit stop very, very soon now.
Yeah, he's got to be.
To show Guy Smith in the pits as well.
Again, that shouldn't be happening. That would be a problem if that is true. We'll keep an eye on that. Apologies, we gave you Brian and the rest of the team for a moment here on ESPN3. I promise you, Jeremy and I didn't disappear for a sneaky cup of tea. We've been here all time, and we'll be with you to checkered flag here on the ESPN3 feed, on board with the leader at the moment, who is Christophe Boucher, who has a better part of 40 seconds lead, 49.2 last time around. That's not hanging around, and there's not many people that are faster than him. One notable, of course, is the third place P1 car of Lucas Leur, who has done a 46.7 last time around, but don't forget he's 4 laps away from the leader. But what he's doing, Jeremy, is closing back in on the P1 cars, and he's getting back some of those points that we thought he was going to lose for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Guy Smith making that pit stop a couple of laps ago. We don't know why it was, but the as you say, Lucas Leur, he's already picked up 1 lap on the overall race. He's picked up 1 lap also, at least, actually I think almost 2 on Michael Marsdell, so he's absolutely flying. He's now shown with only 31 seconds behind Michael Marsdell. So Lucas Leur flying.
Another tyre problem for the BMW. This time it's the 55 car. Remember, we saw him off the track not so very long ago, and I'm almost certain that there will be a correlation between those two things.
I thought I saw that car that goes slowly towards West Bend when we were on board with Christophe Boucher a lap or 2 ago.
Now you can tell which BMW is which now, because the one with the hoods is the 55. The 56 is the one without the bonnet in place. Guy Cosmo is impressing the living daylights out of me at the moment. What a reversal of fortune for the ESM team. They've been quick but slightly fragile in the early part of the season. In fact, they've got the fastest race lap, I think, in every one of the 3 rounds so far. But they haven't been able to turn that into a victory. Got a bit of a performance break from the organisers this weekend, and they are now turning that to their advantage. In P1 now, it's all closed right up because Guy Smith, his teammate Mike Marcel in second.
Yeah, he's had a slow lap.
Smithy of 48, yeah.
Well, it was the last lap was a slow lap coming in, a slow lap going out for that extra pit stop. We know not what it was for.
I wonder if they're back timing. So they've done him a short fill to do all the way, and then just one more stop from here. Nah, it's not going to work, is it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. One more stop from here. That's what they're gambling on, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure to take that gamble when you've only got a lap, less than a lap now. I think in hand
over this car,
the 79 car, because Guy Smith lost a couple of laps making that extra pit stop there. So no, it's got to be more than that. But this car has always set the fastest lap of the race. Lucas Muir, his best lap has been at a 45.2 seconds.
You nearly said a 1 minute 45 there, because
it's used to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more than a second quicker than Guy Smith's race lap record that's set 1 year ago.
I say, we're going to be in for a treat here. Lucas Lure's going to be due a pit stop, of course. There is the overall leader, and that is Christophe Bouchou. Look on the left-hand side there, you can see his mirror and see exactly what he sees behind, which is not a great deal, in fairness. And those mirrors have been made bigger this year. He's made a bit of a meal, actually, of getting around this Corvette. This is the number 3 car that's driven by Antonio Garcia. Clears it now and heads off in the distance. Only the one level 5 car. We didn't hear it early on. The 95 Lewis car is not in the race.
Luis Diaz is going to share that number 95 car with Scott Tucker. Yeah, he's also driving with Bouchou. But that car, it's just the strategic decisions they were going to have to make were just too tight. There's several rules here regarding how much time you have to drive in order to score points. And one of them is you have to drive a minimum of an hour, but also you're not allowed to drive for a total
Forget to loosen your shoulder belt and your lap belt, please.
And 15 minutes, and they're just making sure that that's the team on the radio to Christophe Bouchou saying to get his lap belts ready so he can get out when he comes in the end of this lap. I think the lap belt seat belts are readily loosened so he can get out more quickly. But so Scott Tucker, therefore, he has to drive a minimum of an hour in each of the cars, but no more than 2 hours and 50 minutes in total. If he breaks either of those rules, then neither car scores any points. So the team decided, after doing all their homework and doing the sums and figuring it all out here, it was just too close to call. They didn't want to risk Scott Tucker not scoring any points at all, so therefore they pulled the 95 car. But now, here is our overall race leader, Christophe Bouchou, scheduled pit stop for car number 055.
And if David Enemeyer Hansen stays out, the 3.7 will be our leader, because the gap is only 45 seconds, and that means that we will see, remarkably, that 37 car going through into the lead for Conquest Endurance.
And Team Motor and co-driver Scott Tucker will take over driving duties for Christophe Bouchou. Team member helping Scott Tucker get in the car right now. That is the only work that can be done on this car while the fuel is going in, is the driver assist and replacing the data card that IMSA uses. After the fuel is complete, the team will put the car up on the jack. They'll take 4 new tires. I was talking to Scott Tucker earlier in the weekend, and he said we have got to be on top of our game in both the car and the pits. Right now, everything going to plan. They played it safe. Christophe Bouchou said when you mess up here, you pay in cash. They were not planning on making any mistakes. This is a very clean pit stop for Level 5 Motorsports. Kelly?
Well, while Level 5 was in, down the road, the GT leading 02 Ferrari from Extreme Speed Motorsports also came in. They changed driving duties, so Guy Cosmo's out. Ed Brown is now behind the wheel. That car has been tangled up a couple times. They've seen some time in the walls earlier this weekend. Got it all put together, had a strong start to this race. We'll see how it closes out for Ed Brown.
Looked like problems in restarting for Scott Tucker has cost him some time coming out. Fresh set of Dunlop sticker tyres, brand spanking new, and Ed Brown gets up to speed. These first laps on these new tyres, Jeremy, you can't underestimate how difficult it is for the guys getting in, because you're not allowed to warm these tyres up. So the performance difference, and particularly even in this heat, the grip levels are going to be nothing like what you would have had on the way in.
That's right. In the Formula One, they have tyre warmers to get them up to speed. Not so in prototype racing.
We're also seeing a driver change for the number 37. It'll be Martin Plowman who takes over for David Heinemeier Hansen. They choose to let the co-driver help do the driver change. They know where the belts are, they know where the plugs are. Different teams do different things. So David Heinemeier Hansen helping his co-driver. Fuel still going in. Then we're going to take tires. David Heinemeier Hansen, though, he's a unique story. He got into motorsports when he was in his 30s because he was successful in business. If you follow him on Twitter, you might not understand everything he tweets about. He's a software developer. He actually developed a software platform that Twitter uses as well as Groupon. So he's been very successful, and he is certainly enjoying coming out here to race. While his co-driver Martin Plowman, he's the pro. They are having trouble with this driver change. They should be finished with this by the time those tires are complete, but they are not. They're having trouble, so they are losing precious seconds on pit road.
Yeah, and nobody else seems to know what's to be done here. That was a problem. That was a problem with the buckle in the middle, and he's been given a penalty on the way into the pits as well. It goes from bad to worse for the car that was leading its category.
Yeah, that is two mistakes there for Conquest Endurance, and what a shame. There still hasn't done the belts up yet for Martin Plowman. He's having to plug the radio in himself. This is an absolutely disastrous pit stop.
He hasn't got his drink bottle yet either. He hasn't got his drink bottle in yet either. So he's going to have to come round and do a pit stop. That he's done. I'm sorry, it's what you said at the start of the race. Little things here goes bad for you. It pays off in spades, and not in a good way. So Scott Tucker leads the motor race by 26.5 seconds from Guy Smith, back up into second on the pit stop rotation. 0.55 the P2 car. We've got a history of the secondary category cars winning at this track. Guy Smith in second on the 16, and Martin Plowman will rejoin, but he will have lost third place. That now will be Lucas Lowe.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
First day of spring. Oh, my battery is perfect.
Yep, we've been on a battery tender for 6 years.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
What do you mean?
Old man forgot to plug me in.
Yeah, before I was on a battery tender, I flatlined. Ouch.
Well, at least this couldn't get any worse.
Don't let your batteries become a statistic. Connect a Deltran battery tender. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Doc? Doc?
Goose.
Our technology builds some of the best tires in the world. Because when it comes to performance, we don't just play around.
Cheater, we said no 360s.
Who's up for some leapfrog? It's the fourth round of the American Le Mans Series, the Northeast Grand Prix here at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. The weather that we had earlier on has blown through. It's beautiful. Great day to go motor racing and great action as ever on the 1.5 mile circuit here at Lime Rock Park. 5 different categories of racing out on the circuit at the same time. And looking back from the Corvette to a GTC Porsche to an LMP2 car threading the needle to an LMP2 car and to another GT. So there's 4 of the 5 categories in the same shot looking back. Oh, there's a touch there. A touch between the BMW, that's the 56 car without the hood, and the 37. That's Martin Plowman in 2nd place in P2 and 4th place overall. And that was just getting very, very busy indeed. Looked like Monday morning on the 87 heading down towards Albany. Here comes 0.55. Scott Tucker, here's the leader of the motor race. And Guy Smith is closing in. The difference rather was 23 seconds. Just a few moments ago, it's down to 10.5.
Yeah, because Guy Smith has just turned his best lap of the race, a 46.069 last time around. As you say, 10 seconds now between first and second overall. They are the P2 and P1 leaders respectively. But Lucas Luhr, he's about a lap behind, a bit over a lap behind, I think, Guy Smith in 3rd place. But he's made up 3 laps since they had an unscheduled stop about, what, a half an hour ago.
And there is Dirk Müller going past the 3 of Antonio Garcia. That's the 3rd place car. So he's taken one of the laps back that he had earlier on. So Jeremy, your supposition about that BMW being no slower without the bonnet certainly seems to be coming true. That's Pat Long.
Yeah. He's still out in front of everybody else, apart from the 02 car, which is handed over to Ed Brown. Ed Brown is not as quick. He is the gentleman driver, even though it is a GT class.
Yeah, well, he's down in 5th position now, Ed, and Pat Long is leading the category.
And a win here today for the Flying Lizard Porsche would be just the boost that this team needs. As you said, they haven't had the debut in this new Porsche they would have hoped for. It's been a combination of bad luck and mistakes in the first 3 rounds here of the American Le Mans Series, but the team was very hopeful today. And if history is any indication of the future, these guys could be in luck. Jorg Bergmeister has won 5 of the last 6 races in GT here at Lime Rock Park, last year finishing 2nd with his teammate Patrick Long, who put together a string of 3 wins in a row here for Lime Rock. So this place has been kind to them. They're in the lead now, and these guys could really use this morale booster.
And that number 45 car has been on the podium here at Lime Rock every year since 2004.
No way.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And it's certainly a super run they put together here. Pat Long, he had a lot of pressure just through the first hour or more of the race and really was able to maintain that advantage just about. He's still doing it now with Johannes van Overbeek having taken over the wheel of car number 01.
Watch in the background because Guy Smith's got the lead down to just 4.3 seconds. We'll see him any second now as he's in the back. There he is, coming through the field. He's got that gaggle of GT cars to get through. And by the way, the Ferrari that is 2 cars back. Oh, and that's interesting because Lucas Luhr has got past Guy Smith and got another lap back, and he's heading off towards the leader. Lucas then is heading off towards Scott Tucker to get back on the lead lap overall.
Yeah, and he's now back on the same lap with Guy Smith. So in class now, Lucas, and that is significant.
That's very significant.
Yeah, it's a full course caution with this wave-by rule because he was on the same lap as Guy Smith. He will be able to pull up onto the tail end of the same lap that Guy is on. Complicated.
Oh, is that Lucas has gone off? Oh no, it's not. It's the 25. I saw the red, white, and blue there. Sorry, I've panicked everybody. Oh, he spun right across Duncan. That's unusual for Duncan Endy. He's got better etiquette than that normally. That 25 car's been, well, we've seen it rather too many times going the wrong way and off the circuit this weekend. But Duncan in that Dempsey Racing PC car. He's done a bit of damage there. I was about to say that Pat Long has actually got a battle on his hands, because Johannes van Overbeek, former teammate of his at the Lizards, is just 0.2 of a second behind him now. The 45 and the 01 are battling for the lead in class of GT.
Indeed they are, and about 7 seconds farther back from that is Antonio Garcia in the number 3 Corvette, and then Tommy Milner is another 20 seconds back in car number 4.
Yeah,
I don't know why there is that deficit, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's just the way the pit stops turned out. Remember, they took the early stops and the other people didn't.
Yeah, but between the two Corvettes were battling away there pretty much together, weren't they? So,
well done.
But he did in this most recent sequence that they've lost quite a bit of ground.
Pit lane.
And that is the call for the number 20, looking rather second hand. This is Eric Lux coming.
And then repair the rear tail.
Yeah, that's the legality panel behind the rear wheel. He's got no tail lights, and no. Yeah, round.
No, the whole left-hand side of the tail is missing, isn't it?
Yeah, that got a bit of a shunt early on, and various bits have been falling off. It's just on the exit of turn 3.
So once again, they'll do the fueling, and then they can work on the car.
He's only just gone out in that car. He's only taken that car over recently.
That's right, but you might as well put a splash of fuel on it in any case.
Yeah. So here is the battle at the head of the field, and that's the overall race lead. The P2 leader, Scott Tucker, gives up the overall lead in the race to Guy Smith, which also means that Lucas Luhr now is back on the lead lap overall, and Lucas is away up the road. You can just see the white tail of the car disappearing in the distance, and we've got a battle back on again. Well, who would have thought this an hour or so ago, Jeremy? A little bit of damage on Guy Smith's left front of that Lola Coupe with the Mazda Power, newly supported by Racer Magazine. The big new R on the front of that.
Yeah, so new racing at lap 100. Guy Smith takes the overall lead from Scott Tucker, and Lucas Luhr now is 45 seconds behind this man, our new race leader, Guy Smith. This guy who has had the track record here coming into this weekend. He said it last year during a race, a 46.3 second lap. So far this afternoon, actually the last lap around was his best lap so far, 45.8 for Guy Smith, but Lucas Luhr, his best so far, a 45.2.
Wow.
Yeah, he set that back on lap 29. Martin Plowman in 4th place overall. He's just set the fastest lap for car number 37 as he tries to make up the deficit from that longer pit stop, and that cost him about 32 seconds on pit lane with that botched up driver change, plus the stop and go penalty for speeding on the pit lane. There's a strict speed limit here. If you exceed that limit, you have to come in and make a stop and go penalty.
Damien Faulkner for Green Hornet, 2 of Peter Lasafra's Green Hornet Porsches in the GTC category this weekend. Damien in 5th position at the moment. His teammate Anthony Lazzaro leads the category as the 17.
I think he comes into the pits as you speak, actually.
The leader in that category does indeed. And that is the GT lead battle that is going through our shot now with Pat Long and Johannes van Overbeek. And look, you see, this is the joy of multiple class racing as the 44. This is
joy for us.
Yeah, Marco Holzer in the background. The joy for us is that those guys are battling for the lead in category, and yet they've got other people fighting their way past them, having their race at the same time. So just because you're leading your category, you don't get any favours from the guys around you. Corvette pit stop. That is Antonio Garcia in the 3 car.
In 3rd place.
All clear, Jan, all clear.
And Jan Magnussen installed in that car. There he is.
So his birthday last week on July 4th did Jan Magnussen, also celebrating his 100th start in the American Le Mans Series.
One of 4 this weekend, Jeremy.
That's right, the others being
Bill Oberlin
and Jörg Bergmeister and Butch Lightson.
So Guy Smith by 9 seconds from Scott Tucker at the head of the field. This is a great battle at the head of the GT category between Flying Lizard number 45, Extreme Speed Motorsport Ferrari number 01, the silver and red of the Lizards, and the black and Viper green of the Ferrari team. seconds. See, that's interesting there to me. Johannes there pulled over to stop the prototypes getting by him because he's quicker through this next section than the prototypes are, and he doesn't want them interfering with him getting onto the back of the leader. That's really heads-up driving there. He made it absolutely clear to the Dempsey racing car that I'm not letting you by. I'm not letting you by. I'm in my own race. You can give me a little bit of leeway here. And let's hope that pays off for him and he doesn't get nerfed up the rear by Lucas Law, who flicks to the driver's right as he comes out from behind Patrick Dempsey's rear wing and is about to put a lap on their second place GT car.
Yeah, Lucas Law still absolutely flying out there. The last time around was a 47.2. Again, he pulled up almost 2 seconds on our overall race leader. Guy Smith comes across the line right now. Does Lucas Lure. The gap from first to second, 42.7 seconds.
Two Dempsey cars absolutely together there, the PC car and the P2, Duncan Endy and the boss Patrick Dempsey. You do not want to upset Patrick by pushing him off. Rule number 1, don't run into your teammate. Rule number 2, don't run into your teammate's car when it's the boss. Definitely. Guy Smith pulling away at about 3 seconds a lap, 12 seconds the gap between first and second, but Lucas Lure is on fire, not literally of course, as he comes down through the diving turn to complete his lap number 104 and start lap 105. He is 28 seconds behind Scott Tucker and gaining at something like 5 seconds a lap.
Yeah, a 46.071 that lap for Lucas Lure. Again, a couple of seconds quicker, actually 4 seconds quicker than Guy Smith, who's just come across the line. 50.5. He is going to have this gap down to next to nothing in, well, it should be 20 laps or so. It's a long, long way to go in this race. Still over an hour to go in the race, so certainly more pit stops to come and a lot of strategy to be played out.
In GTC,
Patrick Long in the pits.
Finally, Patrick Long on his lap number 100 gives up the lead in GT to Johannes van Overbeek in the Ferrari. In GTC, the pit stops have been completed and it's Lee Keane back in the head of that in the WeatherTech Alex Job Racing, the 22 car. He's got something like 40 seconds on the number 11. Now, here's a story. I think they might just owe us a pit stop, though, just coming at the wheel of the JDX number 11 that had to start from pit lane a lap down, and he's still almost a lap down on the leader. Pingler Safra in the 33. Green Hornet is into third position, and he's having a great battle. He's right on the tailpipes of that bright gold JDX machine, and just 4 seconds further back in the 32, that's the GMC car, is that? Alex Welch, thank you. Damien Faulkner a further 18 seconds further back in fifth, and second, third, fourth and fifth all on the same lap and separated by just half a minute.
The guy who's flying at the moment is Martin Plowman in that 4th place overall car. Car number 37, he's been consistently in the 47s, 48s, working his way through the traffic. That's the good news. The bad news is he's still, I think, a couple of laps down to Scott Tucker in the P2 class leading car. No, it's just 1 lap, the deficit between those two.
Just waiting to see when Scott goes across the line. Yes, he's just gone across the line now, and Martin's is ahead of him on the circuit, so it is just short of 2.
And those mistakes costly. First of all, the driver change just went completely wrong. They lost a good 30 seconds there, and then with the stop and go penalty, that would have cost them almost a lap as well, but probably another.
So that is the Jan Magnussen driven Corvette. I've got to say, the teams have been really helpful this weekend. There's a couple of teams whose cars look very similar, particularly from the onboards and the roof cameras. And the Corvette guys have put that number 3 on just so we can tell them apart. The Green Hornet guys, I should say, put some fluorescent tape on the 33 car so that we could distinguish those as well. So thanks, guys. It really is appreciated because it is sometimes in the heat of battle very difficult for us to pick out those cars.
That's right. The Green Hornet GTC team running 2 cars here for the very first time. So they thought they were being smart, having 2 cars absolutely identical, but it does make it awfully difficult for us to follow and for the fans to follow as well. So, as you say, smart work there just to differentiate those two cars. They know which one is which because they have radio communication, at least most of the time.
Yeah.
But every now and again, you do need to know, even the crews need to know which of the cars it is that might be going down pit lane if they might have lost radio communication particularly.
Johannes van Overbeek comes into the pit lane from the lead of the GT category and heads down for service. He'll be getting out of that car, and Scott Sharp, very, very local man indeed. Pretty much walk home from here, couldn't he, Scotty?
Originally from Danbury, wasn't he?
As he gets in. Now look, a little bit of help with that over-the-shoulder strap, and he can't. And we've got it for full course caution. Full course caution. Look at the lights on the right-hand side there as we're on board with the 3 Corvette. Fluid on the racetrack, I'm hearing. And there is the Porsche Panamera. Now, this is going to be interesting. The pits would have... Oh, and there is the Muscle Milk car in the pits. Now, he came in before the pits were closed.
It's a stroke of luck.
Wow, that was lucky, particularly if they were tight on fuel. Klaus Graf is now installed in the cars. Lucas Lohr waits to get the... To see how clever that is? He's just done an awesome stint. But he didn't just jump off the side of the car because he knew the fella from the front was going to run to the back to change the rear wheels. Go, get out of here.
Tell you what, that's going to be very good news for those guys. They've where's the pace car?
He passed the safety car.
The safety car wasn't moving, was it? It was just stationary at the pit exit. I've no clue why, to be perfectly honest. We'll have to find that out. But that because of that I'm not sure whether that's going to play in their favour or not. It depends now where he comes out in relation to the safety car. But generally speaking, if you're making a pit stop as the caution comes out, it's going to work in your favour. But with such a short lap here, and if Guy Smith was able to get going and the safety car didn't pick up the race leader last time around, then maybe that won't work to his advantage. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's kind of track dependent.
I think he's going to have lost the lead lap, because you remember he was on the back end of the lead lap before he came in. He would have lost that anyway. The advantage is he's going to go all the way back around now and get most of that back. Flying Lizards, reversal of fortune. Jörg Bergmeister in the car. Pat Long did the first stint and it was a cracker.
They started third. Patrick Long brought the Flying Lizard Porsche in with the lead in GT. And Patrick, everyone talks about traffic here. How's everyone behaving themselves today?
I think everybody's doing a pretty good job. It's tight. I mean, this is the Bristol of sports car racing, so you're going to have contact. There's going to be a lot of class war out there between classes, interclass. The start was wild. We had a lot more grip than the LMPC cars, so we were able to jump past a few of them. But Jörg's in there. I think we just took the lead before it went to yellow, so we're going to try to stay there. There's a lot of tire wear out there, but we've been on one set for the whole race. We came in and short filled. Some other guys took tires, so that's a testament to Michelin for giving us longevity and speed. But it feels good to have the Flying Lizard car back up in the lead. It's been a while, and we're going to enjoy this, but now we got to get to business and finish this thing out.
It is a short but very physically demanding track. I saw you immediately hook up your cool suit even after you got out of the car. Talk about how demanding this place is.
Well, Roland Kuzmal and Craig Watkins are engineers. Roland's a legendary German, and he's old school. One year he almost beat Jackie Ickx to Perry Dakar as the mechanics car, so he often keeps Jörg and I on us and says, you know, back in the day we didn't have any of that crap, so why are you running it? But the few odd days like this where it's a really tight track and it's super humid here, he lets us run it, and it makes a big difference. But Osmo Nutrition, they've really been stepping up their game. It's a new company. All the Flying Lizards are drinking it, and I say today it's the first time I've really felt it, so I'm looking forward to working with those guys and seeing if it can take us to even some triple stints in these deals.
All right, well, Patrick's not the only tire driver out there. Lucas Lohr's out of his car, and Jamie Howe is there.
Well, Patrick Long looks fresh as a daisy. Lucas Lohr, not so much. Lucas, I know you're working hard out there, sitting down, cooling off. How physical is this circuit?
Well, it's very demanding. You never really have time to rest, especially, you know, when you have to make up some laps, what we tried. And now we really got, you know, unfortunate, another yellow just as we came in. So I don't know. It seems for some reason we can't get it right here. You know, for sure we have the quickest car out there. We had a little electronic issue which, you know, cost us a couple of laps. We fought back, and now the yellow comes out, and we lose another lap. So, but it's far from over. We keep on pushing and keep on fighting.
When the team has worked so hard in between races, testing has been done, development has been done, to have problems like this and have the strategy not play out so much, how frustrating is it to the team's morale?
Well, I mean, it's frustrating to the teams as it is to the drivers, you know, especially all the guys. They put all the, you know, heart and love into that program, and then something like this happens, and then it's a really bad English word, starts with an S cross to your mind.
Thank you, Lucas.
Well, he's still in reasonable form, in fairness.
Yes, less grumpy than yesterday when he was narrowly pipped to the pole.
He hasn't lost another lap. I've got to put that right for him. They came in, they would have lost at least one lap, possibly the better part of two, had they pitted under green. They haven't. They were just on the end of the lead lap, and they've just fallen off the end of the lead lap. So yes, they are on lap 113 at the moment, whereas Guy Smith and Scott Tucker are on lap 114, but they're at the back of the queue. They've lost a bit of track position, but they've not lost that extra lap that I believe they would have lost, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's true. It certainly helped them a little bit, because you say they were going to lose, they were going to fall off the lead lap in any case, and that is all they are right now. And we'll have to wait and see whether Dyson Racing elects to bring Guy Smith into the pit lane now. If they do, he will not be able to reach the finish. I think both of the two cars, both the 16 and the number 6, if there are no more full course cautions, are going to have to come in again for a splash of fuel at the end of the race. So the trick now for Dyson Racing is, do they bring him in now and lose the track position, or do they stay out and run as long as they possibly can before they come in to take they will need to make a pit stop? And
Dyson need a full stop.
Yeah,
Dyson definitely need a full stop.
They will stay out now if they possibly can, and run as long as they can before they come onto pit lane.
The worry for Dyson now is that Klaus Graf can stretch it. And now there's an hour, and we expect 45 to 50 minutes here, no more for a prototype. If they get some more full course caution, then if he stretches it and they've got to stop and the yellows don't fall for them, they really are in trouble. However, if they send Klaus Graf on full attack mode, then he's not saving fuel. But we've seen that is the quickest car. There's a bit of a, as ever, a compromise to be had in sports car racing. Guy Smith leads then behind the safety car. On board there for a moment with Sasha Masson.
It was lap 77, I think, that Guy Smith made the second of his 2 pit stops in that car. Well,
remember, he did an odd short stop,
yeah, and we still don't know why that was. Unfortunately, we haven't got the word from the pits about that one, but we'll try and find out. But he made his pit stop on lap 77. We're now on lap 115, so he's done almost 40 laps on this stint. He could probably do
See that
55 or so. So he's within a dozen laps or so, I would say, of having to make a pit stop.
And I think when he stopped, he was basically splitting the time to the end of the race in half.
No, the second stop was only about a dozen laps after the first one. The first lap pit stop was on lap 63, I reckon, and the second one I think was around about lap 77. So to see, because
and he had about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 to go at that point. So now there's the first and second in the PC category. And in fact, the 5, all 3, the top 3 are in together there, Jeremy.
Yeah, they are, and that's been a battle that has been developing there. On the right-hand side, the PR1 Matheson Motorsports car. They get that stop
first.
Yes, they are. They're
there's a problem here,
Motorsport out of the pit. Not only that, but the car that was second, was leading the class, Tom Kimber Smith in the 06, has had to reverse to get around the 05 car. So it's going to cost them a little bit of time, but it shouldn't cause them much track position because everybody else is making a pit stop.
And also there, the 0.55 of Scott Tucker was just going out of the pits as well from second place.
As did 37 of Martin Plowman.
And that was the second place in P2, of course, Scott Tucker with the 0.55 leading that category. Guy Smith leads the race and P1. Scott Tucker will be leading P2. Butch Leitzinger now, as you've just seen there, on the pit stop, taking the lead in Prototype Challenge. Jörg Bergmeister for Lizard in the 45 Porsche in 10th overall, leading GT, and in GTC it's the pole sitting 22 That's the Alex Job Racing Porsche that was on pole position. They are in the leads.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
First day of spring. Oh, my battery is perfect.
Yep, we've been on a battery tender for 6 years.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
What do you mean?
Old man forgot to plug me in.
Yeah, before I was on a battery tender, I flatlined. Ouch.
Well, at least this couldn't get any worse.
Don't let your batteries become a statistic. Connect a Deltran battery tender. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
Hey, man. You're supposed to work up a sweat doing the work, not starting your equipment. A friend of mine who's a fireman told me this is what they use when they need stuff to start. This SCF has no ethanol in it, so it can sit in there for months and start up easy every time. Plus, it's pre-mixed with oil, so you can pitch this stuff. Try SCF, the perfect fuels for gas-powered tools.
It's not just what we gave the new Corvette 427 that makes it special. It's what we didn't.
On board with Damien Faulkner, up into 4th position in GTC. His teammate Peter Lasafra has just hit pit lane, and those two cars have swapped around. Welcome back to the Northeast Grand Prix, the American Le Mans Series, presented by Patron. John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw in the booth for you on ESPN 3. Now, earlier on, I was telling you about the Clean, Fast and Efficient Challenge of Michelin's Green X Challenge. Dyson Racing's number 16 with a 27-point total, well ahead of Muscle Milk Pickett Racing. Normally we see points, fractions of points, with Conquest Endurance in 3rd position. That's a healthy lead for the guys from Dyson in that Mazda-powered prototype. The Lola Coupe looking as smart as ever. In the GT category, what do you reckon? I'm thinking, oh, it is Flying Lizard Motorsport. I was about to say BMW, but that's much closer, as you can see. Half a point between them, and Extreme Speed Motorsports in 3rd position.
Yeah, and back to the prototype thing briefly, the biggest difference there was on the efficiency side of things. The isobutanol fuel in that number 16 Mazda-powered Lola of Dyson Racing, a little bit cleaner footprint, I believe, than the other competitors.
So have you ever wondered what it's like to go through a pit stop in the ALMS? Well, Bryce Miller talks us through one from the driver's point of view.
In the American Le Mans Series, pit stops are all about precision and safety. As soon as the car comes to a stop, fueling can begin, at which point the only other thing that can happen is a driver change. It's important for me to situate my co-driver's belts and radio connection. I'm working my way back across the wall. Car's in the air. As soon as the crew finishes with their tire change and the deck, Sasha can launch.
And that would be the point where the engine would fire, and Sasha Masson, who's in the car at the moment actually, would propel the Dunlop shod Paul Miller Racing Porsche out of pit lane. On day from BMW, the Crown Plaza cars with all kinds of problems, and they still sit down together in 6th and 7th position in the GT category, which is led by the Porsche. We're coming to the green, and it will be Guy Smith in the Dyson Lola Mazda.
Green,
hits the front, hits the green flag, and crosses the line with no one in sight and no competition behind him. It's the GT battle that we're interested in, and there is Jörg Bergmeister, and behind him, Jan Magnussen. Scott Sharp not too far back either in the 0-1, the Extreme Speed Motorsport Ferrari Italia. Now, Bergmeister's got to be a bit careful here, as we've got the Lucas Lowe, it's Klaus Graf now, of course, at the wheel of that car, and he's trying to get back on the lead lap as the, that was the leader. That was the leader in GTC.
It was the second place car in GTC, Lee Keen. He'd made a pit stop, I think, a little while ago, and that enabled Chris Cumming in that car number 11. It started a lap down from the pit lane. Has been leading when they went back to green here, and then it appears that Lee Keen was off the road as well.
No, that was. I'm sure that was the leading car, because
no, it wasn't. Cumming was leading.
Okay.
I was just watching that.
Oh, dear me. That's the PC lead battle getting all a bit unnecessary. Where do you look here? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 categories of cars in the same shot and almost on the same piece of the racetrack as well. Goodness me. Round the outside, Martin Plowman has been very brave indeed. 05 is leading the PC class, and that's Colin Brown. That's the car with the orange on it.
And I'll tell you what, I think number 37 car, just going out of the screen, just got back ahead of the 055. It's not a fight per position, but that does get the 37 car, I think, back on the same lap now as the 055 in P2.
That was a touch there, you know, coming down through the final corner.
Exit stage left for Butch Lighting, that's a scary moment.
Yeah. Butch has got enough experience around here to know that that's not the place to go off.
Yeah, really.
I don't think he's going to be overly pleased about that, to be honest. As Plowman pulls away a little bit, and this battle, there's Butch Lighting it going through.
So I think that number 37 car, Martin Plowman, the Nissan-powered Morgan, is back on the same lap as the P2 leader.
Well, Butch Leitzinger's not going to like the fact that he did not come out ahead. I talked to him earlier in the weekend about this being his 100th American Le Mans Series start, and he said he is having so much fun this season in particular because he's racing in a class with matched cars, and it really comes down to what the team and the driver are able to make of it. He said racing and stuff like this, when you're going back and forth and guys are diving and there's battling going on, that's what sports car racing is all about. That's what he lives for. He has 100 starts, 94 top 10s, 50 top 3s, 10 wins. He's had a fantastic career, and he said, if the racing continues like it is right now, I'm going to have 10 more.
Look at the stats. Look at the stats for Butch Leitzinger, following in the footsteps of his racing father, Bob, who raced Lotus 26Rs and Datsuns, even before they were Nissans. We've got Nissan-powered cars in this race. And another one of the real gentlemen of the planet. We are truly blessed in sports car racing. We have some of the best drivers on the planet, the most competitive, fastest drivers, and yet they are all very nice, approachable people, and it honestly is a pleasure to sit down and have a chat with these guys about the sport. And compared to some of the forms of motorsport Jeremy and I have covered in the past, this is a very pleasant place to be. Delighted to see that the good guys sometimes do get the results. Now there's more lappery going on there. That is the 055 of Scott Tucker. And trying to get some laps back there is the number 20 car, which at the moment has got Eric Lux at the wheel. That car had the tail of it replaced. Remember, it was missing that left rear cheese wedge, if you like, and the whole of the rear light cluster on that car. That's not allowed in the rules, as you might imagine, particularly around here. You need to be able to see when the car's got its brake lights on. I think they probably would have let it go if it had just been the cheese wedge with the Dunlop sticker on it, not when all the lights were missing as well. So how's Klaus Graf doing? Well, he's now down to 16 seconds behind Scott Tucker, which means he's not that far behind Guy Smith. Something like 49 seconds, or a lap, effectively.
Yeah, just over a lap behind. That's exactly right. And I reckon that both of these two need to make one more pit stop. Guy Smith needs to make a full pit stop, pretty much so, take on a full tank of fuel in that Mazda-powered Dyson racing car number 16, the overall race.
Oh, that's a very, very big off indeed. Underpowered, there's someone else involved behind us. 2-3, that's Butch Leitzinger in the 52 car. And that is a great spot. This is the number 1 car. This is Scott Sharp. He was 3rd position in GT, full course caution. Now, he lost the back end of that car. Did he get, we were on board with him, you heard the revs rise. Did he get a tap? Had he moved over? Or did he just lose the car? It would be odd if he did. How do I get neutral? He's shouting if you can't hear. Leitzinger's front right is damaged as the Chevy safety teams come in from the guys at IMSA. Well, Scott he was very lucky there that he only scraped the nose of that car down the front of the barrier. In fact, his teammate Ed Brown was pushed off the track on the main straight and did about as little damage as that as well on the Forza Motorsport 4 track map. That was down at turn 4, heading into turn 5. Now, Butch was waving, but I think he's all right. Now, let's have a look from the outside. Scott Sharp with Butch coming up the inside. There's the touch. That could have been a lot worse, Jeremy. It's a racing incident, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Two guys with massive experience.
Yeah. I'm not going to blame Scott there because I don't think he sees him. He can't see him there, Jeremy. He's on. This is that Ferrari problem again. There's a big blind spot. Yeah. They use a rearward-facing camera.
But he must have known that the PC car was behind him, coming through the S's before that, and he's got to know that the PC car is likely to out-accelerate him. I'm not sure. There's certainly, the GT cars are very quick on the straights. And in terms of straight line speed, there's very little difference between those two. The main place that the PC cars make up time is under braking. But on that case, Butch was trying to get past him under acceleration, and a little bit of a misunderstanding there, and that's cost them both very dearly indeed.
I'm not sure Butch was quite far enough alongside to pull that off where he was doing it, but I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. I don't think that the blame. There's enough there to blame anybody completely. I think that's a racing incident. It happens in multiple class racing. Just look how low that car is, and think about sitting in the Ferrari. You're in a seat that wraps around your head. You can't turn your head because you've got the HALMS device on. You're looking backwards into a camera that's mounted on the rear of the car, and although it's a wide angle lens, there's a lot of ground that it can't cover. In that rear three-quarter area, particularly on the right-hand side of Ferraris, with prototypes. We've seen a time again at Le Mans with Mike Rockenfeller and Alan McNish and Anthony Davidson at Watkins Glen last weekend, and again here in the practice sessions. We've seen it happening over and over again, and I don't think you can really say that either of those drivers were particularly at fault there.
Great shame, because there are two contenders there in each of their respective classes. The PC class car here of Butch Leitzinger, that was really running well. They've had some problems this weekend. A big crash this morning for the co-driver Ken Dobson. Those guys do a fabulous job to get this car back out and running.
What do you like up underneath for the front floor?
Running so well in the race, that's probably horrible. The team director there asking what damage is to the front, and there's certainly some damage to the composite nose section. Scott Sharp too, boy, that car,
Change the nose
both of their cars have been running super well.
Right hand down.
Nose and shock cover to be changed.
And we're right hand down.
The whole of that crash box being ripped off the front of that car. Don't often get to see what's inside the nose of the Oreca. But there you can see exactly the place that that will be replacing the damaged
all
parts.
Broken up, so literally we're going to be just in survival mode here, okay?
So Guy Smith and Scott Tucker first in class overall, and Scott Tucker leading The 0.55 leading in P2, second place. I'm just not sure that's... Well, this is going to help Klaus Graf, of course, because it closes the field back up again, Jeremy.
This is interesting because I'm pretty sure we will see that Mazda Lola of Guy Smith into the pit lane as soon as the pits are opened here. That should be...
You'd think so.
Yeah, enough of that they will be able to take enough fuel to get to the end of this race. Question then is whether the number 6 car, Klaus Graf, that will move him back onto the lead lap, but do they need a splash of fuel before the end of the race? If so, now will be the time to take it.
And the wave by pass around underway.
Yeah, and it's after this wave by has been completed that the pits will be opened for service.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Guy Smith is not very happy at having to drive around in the marbles on turn 1 while the lap cars get their lap back.
He's going to be coming in the pits in any case, I reckon.
I think you're right. Well, you've got to, haven't you? You've got it's not a free pit stop, but it's as close as you're going to get at this point. And they can go from here. There's 40 minutes remaining.
You can see the car right behind him there. That is Klaus Graf in the Muscle Milk car. But Klaus Graf right now is 1 lap down. So when Guy Smith comes into the pits this time, that will enable Klaus Graf to get back onto the lead lap. Question is then, does Graf also come into the pits for a splash of fuel? And I fancy he might, and the reason for that is we want to make sure there's no doubt about being able to get to the end of the race, and his pit stop will be much, much shorter than the one for Dyson Racer because he needs to take on a lot less fuel. One will look again at that impact.
Just looking at that screen there, that's what you saw highlighted. That's what the driver is looking backwards from in the Ferrari. Does not have a rear view mirror. It's a solid metal firewall. And, well, there is a bit more damage and contact than I thought, actually, with that Ferrari, but I think he's got away with it.
And you talk
from the onboard one more time.
Yeah,
right-hand side, no sign of that car.
And again, there's plenty of room there for 2 cars to go side by side through those kinks that you said originally called zig and zags. Otherwise, it's part of no-name straight.
Correct.
Because it's not straight, but it's certainly wide enough there for 2 cars to go side by side. But it's not easy. You've got to know
the other guys there.
That's the thing.
You've got to know exactly where he is. So as we're working another full course caution, let's have another Patron rules of the road, this time with Kelly Stavist in the pit lane here at Lime Rock.
Today we're talking about the role of the safety officials down here in pit lane for our Tequila Patron rules of the road. You'll notice the guys that stand out here in the white fire suits, the officials. Well, primarily their job down here is to ensure safety. They're also here to ensure that all the teams are following the rules and regulations of the American Le Mans Series. And they want to make sure everyone has their proper safety gear on. So what really are they looking for? Well, when the guys come into fuel, they want to make sure no one is touching the car while they're refueling, except, of course, to get a clean windscreen. They also want to make sure that not too many people are working on the car at any one time. 4 crew members can work on the car at a time. More can be over the wall, but only 4 can touch it at a time. When I asked our pit lane official what kind of calls are made the most, he said, outside of speeding down pit road, of course, usually it's an engine not shut off during refueling, which is a penalty, starting the car up while it's still in the air, or running over pit equipment as they lead. But that's not all they're down here to do, is it, Jamie?
No, it certainly isn't. It's not all about penalties. The pit lane officials, they're also the conduit between the teams and race control during the race. The team has the opportunity to talk to the pit officials. They have one assigned pit official throughout the course of the weekend, so they really develop a relationship. They'll talk to that pit official. The pit official will then talk to race control if they have any concerns, if anything isn't going quite right. So it's really a partnership that we see going on down here on pit lane. But the pit officials, they don't actually pass out the penalty. They observe what's going on. They report it back up to the tower. Then the tower tells them what sort of penalty it's going to be. We have pit stop starting already, so those officials are hard at work. Kelly?
Just behind you, we see that number 60 Dyson Lola Mazda come in. It looks like it's going to be fuel only. Actually, they have a couple of tires, Dunlop tires, ready to go on this 16. Oh, they had finished refueling, and this is just what we talked about, those rules. They pulled out the fuel hose, put it back in for just a second. They now have the car back up on the jacks to put some fresh Dunlop tires on there.
Well, that's very, very interesting, Kelly, because they've done
Routine pit stop here for Dyson.
Clear.
full fuel.
You're clear, guy. You're clear. Clear.
Full fuel and 4 new Dunlop tyres. That is, to be honest, Jeremy, I think that is because they're under full course caution. They've been able to take that extra time without losing too much track position.
Yeah, they're going to need all the speed they can get, because the Klaus Graf is going to be coming when we get back to green flag racing. And these pit stops, we talked about a little while ago, the number 37 car got himself back onto the same lap as the 055 in the battle for P2 and second overall. We're going to have a battle there at the restart.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
Oh, just get a chance to have a little breather here. Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh at ESPN3 live from Lime Rock Park as we're behind the Porsche Panamera safety car for the full course caution caused by the coming together of Scott Sharp in the Ferrari and the 52 LMP car of Butch Lighting, and Butch is going to get a penalty for that, by the way, for avoidable contact. This is our third caution, and as the wheel come through this time, the overall leader actually will be the 055 of Scott Tucker. And look at the cars who have had problems at the bull ring. Have they still got more blood to let, or will they be shouting "Ole" at the end of the day? There's still time for some of these guys to make a comeback, notably the number 6 of Klaus Graf, now in that car through to the end. Now here's something very, very important, because in that safety car period, Jeremy, the 16 car came in for its pit stop. That means that the leader of the race was not then the lead car. So what's the procedure at that point?
The procedure is the safety car will then pick up the next class leader in line. Anybody between the pace car and the next class leader will be allowed to go past the pace car and rejoin at the tail end of the lead lap. The next car that was behind the pace car was the number 6 car. Yes, the Muscle Milk car that was running so brilliantly early on had that long pit stop, so that has got the wave by, and that has now rejoined at the tail end of the lead pack. And the number 16 car, that's just made a pit stop, so that's almost at the back as well.
Just as confusing as it seems for all of us, it's just as confusing to the drivers. In the drivers meeting yesterday, the race director, Paul Walter, he went over this step by step for all of the drivers and the team managers just to make sure everyone understood. It has been several weeks since the last American Le Mans Series race. A lot of these drivers have been racing in other places all over the world, and the rules are different everywhere. So he did spend a lot of time going over this. If you do it incorrectly, the penalty is very hefty. It's 2 laps, and that's based off of your car's fastest lap time, so it's detrimental. It'll ruin your race to do this wrong, and that's why IMSA spent so much time trying to make sure the drivers get it right.
And what that has turned into now then is this battle for the lead in P1. Now the next class leader that the Porsche Panamera picked up was the 22 of Lee Keane, weaving side to side to try and get some heat into the Yokohamas. They were expressly told they couldn't do that when the pass around was happening, just in case there was any coming together. It sounds complicated, but the idea is not to disadvantage anyone who's been broken up from their own class leader. And actually it's quite, in technical terms, it's quite a sensible and simple way of doing it. Don't forget, you've got to write this down. You haven't only got to make it happen, you've got to write it down in a code of conduct that everybody can read and understand.
Yeah, and while you know, the number 6 car, the Muscle Milk car, that was slightly disadvantaged by the fact he was in the pit lane when the caution came out, but now it reaps the reward because the length of this caution period is such that the number 6 car now will be able to get to the end of the race without needing another pit stop.
You think?
Yes, I do.
So you think we've got a battle to the flag now between Smithy and Klaus Graff?
And we've only got a few cars between them. The car that's directly in front of the number 6 car is the number 20, I believe, but the number 16 car isn't much farther up the road.
So how important now is it that Graff got out and around the Porsche Panamera safety car when he came out of the pits, because otherwise, of course, that would have been an extra lap. We're back racing. There is the overall leader, the 055 of Scott Tucker. That's the black car in behind the gold Porsche, and he's got to look at his mirrors because Martin Plowman is pretty close to him now. He was 7 seconds across the line. He's nowhere near that now. The young Brit is carving his way through this traffic, and Scott Tucker, just the one level 5 car in the race, remember. They've played the tactical game here, and it looks like it's working for them at the moment, leading P2, but with Martin Plowman right there ahead of him. The lead battle in GT has Jörg Bergmeister, Jan Magnus and Ollie Gavin in the 45 Lizards, and then the 2 CompuAir Corvettes almost line astern.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff. And in PC2 we've got the 2 core Autosport cars who weren't separated by very much when they came across to take this restart.
And there's a BMW on the grass. It's got the no hood there, so we can't see it's the Crown Plaza BMW, but trust me, it is. And that's the 56 car that was out on the grass there trying to make up some ground. Dirk Muller has fought his way back up to 6th position with his teammate Jörg Muller. No relation, but they drive just as quickly, and we're on board with Dirk now. You can tell that is Dirk because there's no hood, no bonnet to be seen, just the bonnet stays. Look very carefully, you can see the 2 little stays. Now he's a lap down to those guys ahead of him, but they'll be desperately trying to come back up the field. The BMWs have been quick this weekend.
Right, and right behind this train of GT cars is that number 37 car, the silver and orange car of Martin Plowman, 2nd place overall, trying to get past these GT cars so he can set sail and try to catch Scott Tucker. I think the Morgan Nissan is quicker than the HBD Honda at this stage, but its track position at the moment, that Scott Tucker has it in his favour.
And Guy Smith's got Klaus Graff right in his wheel tracks as they come down to turn 1. Just saw it in the background. He was very defensive going across the start-finish line. They were separated by less than 1/10 of a second. And just behind this gaggle of cars, I'm kind of moving around, trying to look around the corner of the screen to see if we can see what's happened with those guys battling for the P1 lead.
There they go, and they have changed positions. So Klaus Graff has got past Guy Smith. They're 3rd and 4th right now, but they are still on the overall lead lap. So that is a battle. 2nd place car is 37 right there, the Morgan Nissan. And then right behind him, taking over 2nd place, is the P1 leader, Klaus Graff, just about to take it in 2nd place overall. And there to the inside also is Guy Smith, who's now back in 4th place.
New 2nd place then new third place. Mark Plowman bumped back down. So that is the lead of P1, and this is absolutely crucial for the championship. Remember, just 4 points before the start of this race, and he has clawed back all of those laps that were lost early on with their problems. Remember the gearbox, they had to do a complete reset to get the electronics to talk to the gearbox. The paddle shift was paddling, the shifter wasn't shifting, and the control alt delete, take away the power, put it back. I still have no idea why that works, but it does, and he's fought back from all of that. Klaus Graf now back up into second position overall, and 7 seconds behind the race leader. Ollie Gavin on board with Yardley Hastings' finest, and he heads down in third position towards Big Bend. That has been a remarkable comeback by the Pickett Muscle Milk team.
Certainly has, quite remarkable. They were 5 laps down, I think, at one stage, but they've clawed all of that back. We saw the number 16 car make an additional stop on lap 77. That cost it a couple of laps, effectively. And since then, the Muscle Milk car has been absolutely flying. And Klaus Graf is now up into second place overall. There he is. And it won't be long before he's onto the tail of our overall race leader, Scott Tucker.
Well, we said right at the start of the show, Jeremy, that this racetrack, well, let's build some more like this, because we get good racing, we get passes close to the end, we've still got 25 minutes to run, and you know what, you wouldn't bet against more drama and more changes out there.
You're the man.
You're the man, yes indeed he is. He has been absolutely superb in this race. That car has the fastest lap of the race. It was set actually fairly recently by Klaus Graf, who has done a 45.1 in that lap, a tenth or so quicker than Lucas Luhr managed in his first stint, and the last time around with a 45.2. So Klaus Graf absolutely flying. Yeah. The car ahead of him, that is the battle for the overall race lead coming into West Bend.
And notice how the guys on the pit wall, they've just said Scott Tucker is in the car, so he knows it's the amateur driver, so he knows not to expect it to be overly aggressive. And maybe he won't be holding exactly the same racing lines as the pro. He won. This is very clever stuff from the pit wall. It shows again, we talked about teamwork, we talked about the human aspect. Not just the track, not just the bull ring that is Lime Rock here in Connecticut. These guys are working together, Jeremy, as a team, not just when they're changing tyres. When they come up against a situation like that, it's crucial for the driver to have all the relevant information.
Indeed, and he will have been told also that there is no need for that splash and go pit stop that they were thinking he was going to have to make when he came in just before this caution period started. So it's certainly played out in that car's favour, and Klaus Graf is now taking full advantage of it.
I hope they've got their numbers right. We've seen people forget to carry the 1 here and run out within sight of the checkered flag. It has been that close.
30 laps.
Now this is not, remember, a lapped race, so 30 laps is the estimation by the guys on the pit wall, running at 46 seconds or so a lap. There's 23 minutes left to go in this. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes time certain, this American Le Mans Series 4th round, the Northeast Grand Prix here at Lime Rock Park.
Yeah, so this car leads the car number 6, Klaus Graf at the wheel of the Muscle Milk HPD Honda. Behind him in second place, Guy Smith. The gap back to the Lola Mazda is about 3.4 seconds. Scott Tucker is hanging in there in third place overall, the best of the P2 cars.
But Martin Plowman's coming.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Give me time. Sorry. Martin Plowman is about 10 seconds behind Scott Tucker. Last lap, he was a second faster.
Well, even by my rudimentary arithmetic, I'm not even going to call that mathematics, that would be 10 laps easy from there or thereabouts.
But look at this. That was Scott Tucker going the inside. I guess that must have been the number 20 car they went down the inside of, because it was certainly one of the Dyson Roller Mazdas. And when they came across the line, okay, that's Guy Smith ahead of us right now. So it was the other Lola Mazda that he went past. But Scott Tucker,
slow lap by Guy last time around.
It was, but Scott's done a really good job this weekend. He's generally not been on anywhere close, really, let's face it, to the pace of Christophe Boucher, who has a massive amount more experience in this racing car for the best part of 30 years. Scott Tucker's only been doing it for about 5 or 6. But this weekend he was within a half a second in qualifying. Scott Tucker drove the number 95 car for level 5 in qualifying, and only half a second down on Christophe Boucher. Yes, it's a short lap, but still, that was not much of a deficit at all. He's doing a very good job this weekend. I would have hazard a guess to say that this might be the best showing that Scott Tucker has actually put on since he moved up into the prototypes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And he's going to have to work a little bit harder because it's down to 8 seconds now between himself and Martin Plowman, although Martin got the traffic last time. It's what goes around comes around, isn't it? It's easy to think, oh, he's lost 2 or 3 seconds, but that's traffic, and you know, a lap or two later, the guy who's chasing has to do that as well.
Swings and roundabouts, ebbs and flows, that's what it's all about here at Lime Rock Park.
So on board there with Scott Tucker with a clear track ahead of him. Great battle going on, by the way, in GT, where Jörg Bergmeister is leading Jan Magnussen by just over a second, and he's got his teammate Ollie Gavin 7/10 further back. So that's Porsche, Corvette. Guy Cosmo is the best of the Ferraris, and that's a good drive. Scott Sharp, by the way, still in 5th position, despite losing all that time in that yellow flag period, and he's still on the lead lap of GT. There's a story, as I said, a story not to be written off there. The 2 Crown Plaza BMWs, 56 and 55. Remember the 56 car with no bonnet, that's the easy one, no hood. The easy one to spot. That's got Dirk Muller at the wheel. Jörg is at the wheel of 55. They're in 6th and 7th, and they're salvaging points here for the rest of the season, Jeremy. Have no doubt about that. And this is the attitude you've got to have, whether it's a 12 or 24-hour race or just a 2-hour, 45-minute race. You can't give up just because things have gone rotten for you in the first half an hour.
Yeah, very much so. That is very much the case. As we see Klaus Graf one more time, 149th lap it is right now for our race leader. He's pulled out a whole 11 seconds over Guy Smith. So it looks like Smithy isn't able to get that car back out on terms. Meanwhile, in PC, there is a number 5 car. Colin Brown leads that class, but Tom Kimber-Smith, his teammate for Core Autosport, is only about 5 seconds behind him.
Townsend Bell at the wheel.
Again, there's Martin Plowman again, unlucky with the traffic coming through the chicane. Sorry, John.
And it was Townsend Bell that he was going by. And there he is going through that 23 Lotus, the battery tender Alex Job racing car in a creditable 11th in GT. They've had a couple of breaks this weekend, bit of weight taken out of that car. Still under development, that Lotus Evora, and under a slight disadvantage from some of the other teams that they only have 1 car in the race, and it is only that car. Now here is the GT lead battle. We're looking at it from Ollie Gavin, who is in 3rd. And in 2nd is the car ahead, and in 1st is the car ahead, and there goes the leader. Wow, that's multi-class racing. It looked like they were chained to a post there, and trust me, Ollie Gavin had his big right foot pressed as hard down to the firewall with the throttle pedal underneath it as he possibly could, and yet we were passed like we were standing still. 3 cars battling for the lead in GT.
And we're witnessing 2 of the best in the business do battle in GT, both Jan Magnussen and Jörg Bergmeister celebrating their 100th career start here in the American Le Mans Series. Jörg Bergmeister in that Flying Lizards for Porsche has 5 championships on his resume, 34 wins, 64 podiums. You look at Jan Magnussen, he has 26 wins in ALMS, 64 podiums as well. He also has a championship. He won GT1 back in 2008. And another feather in Jan Magnussen's cap, he was voted most popular driver in 2011.
I think he's had that a couple of times, to be honest, Kelly, as well. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and add Guy Cosmo in the ESM Ferrari to that, because just behind Ollie Gavin is the Viper Green and Black Extreme Speed Motorsports Ferrari 458 Italy. There it is. It's 4 cars, 16 wheels, battling it out for the lead in GT. The street car class giving us great entertainment again. And not that I'm allowed to bet the house, but if I was, my darling wife wouldn't allow me to bet the house on this, because there's no way of telling any one of these 4, or indeed none of them, could be standing on the top step of the podium in, 17 minutes time.
What a tremendous job by the 02 team. We saw Guy Cosmo took advantage of the strategy early on to lead very strongly indeed. Ed Brown did a nice job in the middle of the race, and he's handed that car back now to Guy Cosmo to finish off. And Guy Cosmo, as we heard about him talk about this track at the top of the show, born and bred on Long Island, this is his home racetrack.
Well, Jeremy and I are going to take our very last breath before we come back to go to the checkered flag. There's your leaders here at Lime Rock Park.
Everything we ever thought up.
Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The new 911. Porsche Identity.
It's not just what we gave the new Corvette 427 that makes it special. It's what we didn't.
First day of spring. Oh, my battery is perfect.
Yep, we've been on a battery tender for 6 years.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
What do you mean?
Old man forgot to plug me in.
Yeah, before I was on a battery tender, I flatlined. Ouch.
Well, at least this couldn't get any worse.
Don't let your batteries become a statistic. Connect a Deltran battery tender. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
All the excitement of the American Le Mans Series is back.
Great flag and we're racing at Baltimore.
Where technology races into the future and no man is better than his machine. Failure is always a threat when pushing development to its very edge. But survival makes success that much sweeter. This is where technology, passion, and danger meet to create a spectacular orchestra. The American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron, where the technology of speed and danger is everything.
Well, Jeremy Shaw and myself, John Hindorf, now clean and green to the checkered flag. We'll take you all the way through. Next up on the American Le Mans Series, round 5, is the Mobil 1 Grand Prix at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And there's the details flashing through the bottom of the screen as to when we will be live on the always a great trip north of the border. Whilst we were away, nothing has happened. Well, actually, that's not true. These guys have been at it hammer and tongs. It's just there's been no place changes. Yeah. These guys are tied together with invisible but very short pieces of bungee rope at the moment.
And what's incredible is we've got a fabulous battle going on also in GTC, where Lee Keane leads in the number 22 car by 0.4 of a second, as it came across last time, from Damien Faulkner in the Green Hornet car number 34. Also in PC, Colin Brown in the 05 car for Court Autosports leads by about a second over the 06 car, his teammate Tom Kimber-Smith. Absolutely unbelievable action going on here. 5 classes of car. That was GT, the top 4 together. This plus P2. P2, exactly. This is battling for 3rd and 4th overall, but for the win in class. And Martin Plowman has done a sterling job. We saw Scott Tucker there in the black car, the 055 leading, glancing in the right-hand mirror. He knows he's got company now. Yeah, and Martin Plowman, he's been super patient. I'm very impressed with what he's done over the last 10 to 15 laps, because they've kind of been trading lap times. Scott Tucker's been doing an excellent job, given the fact that he is an amateur driver. But Martin Plowman, I think, has the faster car. But yeah, absolutely, first time at track here for Martin Plowman. Never seen the place before. And they had the problems yesterday with a down-on-power engine. But he and David Heinemeier Hansen, they love the way the car is handling. But to come on this strong now is a very impressive run by Martin Plowman.
This is danger.
I'm just so impressed by the fact that he's a single-seater racer who's coming in and he's showing that patience is the key.
This is dangerous because they're going through the GT battle.
Things going to plan right now for the 37, but it has not been a trouble-free weekend by any means. In practice 1, they rolled off the truck, everything was good. By the end of the day yesterday, though, the team had to do an engine change. The crew was here until 1 o'clock in the morning. To be able to come out on the podium, let alone the top step of the podium, that would be huge for this team to be able to collect their first American Le Mans Series win. They have been working tirelessly in the offseason, testing and developing and really coming to grips with this. It's their first year of endurance racing, so they're learning this as they go through it, and right now the team is doing a terrific job.
Now, oh, there's a spinner. It's the JDX11. That's the GTC car.
Third place.
That was third place in class. And that, well, I'm hearing it was the 33, but I'm not sure about that. I thought it was the 11. My apologies. We'll get that confirmed for you, but it was certainly one of the GTC cars. Meantime, Martin Plowman, as Jeremy says, just gets back onto the rear wing of Scott Tucker.
The class champion in P2 last year.
That's a good point.
Yeah, a lot of driving he's done over the last few seasons, but now Martin Plowman, they've got themselves past all those GT cars and the GTC car there of Alex Welsh, who has now taken over third place from Chris Cumming.
So it was the 11.
Yes, it was the 11 car that was off there. So Alex Welsh now driving with James Sophonis for the GMG team. Ooh, yikes.
That's more
up into
dust.
third place.
And that's the 66 car that's gone off in the same spot as the 11 did one lap before. And there's words that you don't normally have. Spencer Pumpelly off. That's, I mean, write that down in your diary, because that's very unusual. This team, the guys with the Morgan, the Conquest guys, they've done a cracking job. Remember at Sebring, they had a completely different engine package, and they decided in the short time, relatively short time, between the end of Sebring, a 12-hour race, and going onto the main streets of Long Beach to change engine supplier. And they went to Nissan, proven engine supplier, but I mean that's not the work of a moment, is it? You don't just bolt one out and bolt one in. And they've got to grips with that. They've been very strong since putting that Nissan engine in, and this could be their best result to date.
Yeah, hats off to Scott Tucker again.
He's doing a great job.
48.7 he did that last lap. I mean, he's turning some very good lap times now. He's really got his head down. He's got it's David Stone on the radio, and also Jeff Brown, who is the chief engineer at Level 5 Motorsports, and he's a very good, experienced, calm hand and voice on the radio, and he's coaching Scott Tucker extremely well.
9 minutes, Scott. 9 minutes to go. 9 minutes.
9 minutes to go. You can hear that's how long Scott Tucker has to hold on for. The gap between these two was,
okay, Martin, we need to get over him. You know, I mean, he's a gentleman. You need to do it. Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
Off has gone the 0-2 car. Oh no, that's Guy Cosmo out of fourth place, and that is severe damage on the back of that car. He's gone off. I think that's at the first turn.
No, I think it's at the downhill, is it? The diving turn.
Oh, you're right, and it's a full course caution. Oh. Well, this could be all she wrote with only 8.5 minutes to go. Well, that's a disaster for ESM. Battling for a podium. There are the guys in the pit lane, and look at the body language there. There's a sense of resignation. What an up and down day they've had. I mean, what's bad news for him is good news. You're right, it was the diving turn. Jeremy, good spot. What's bad news for them is better news for Scott Sharp, who takes over position in the team car. Well, that's both ends of that car. That's an odd one.
Well, I think it's probably gone around, sort of spun around in the barriers down there.
You might be right.
Because that's a very fun, you're going
the
very,
left hand
very quickly.
is moving. Guy Cosmo's left hand is moving. I think he's trying to get the guys to pull the car out. I'm not sure he realises quite how bad that is. The thumbs have gone up there. So the safety crew, and by the way, a word for all of the corner marshals, corner workers, marshals and safety crew, not just here but all the way around. And those guys do the hardest job in motorsport, often for very little reward, giving up their spare time. We haven't got enough marshals and corner workers in motorsport anywhere in the world. If you're a true enthusiast and you've got some time, you could do a lot worse than giving up some of it to make sure that our racing can continue. Now, word on the radio from Guy Cosmo that there was a PC car involved in this. We'll get a chance to have a look. A guy knows this track very well, did our Patron track description at the start of the show. So Jeremy, watching the background of the shot. Well, he's already off there. And as you rightly see, he's gone in backwards. Who is that? Is that the Dempsey Racing car?
No. It was one of the cooler cars.
Oh, yeah.
Dear.
Oh, dear, that was not smart. Now, which challenge car is it? It is.
It's one of the core Autosport cars. Tough to see which one it was from that angle, to be honest.
It might have been the 06 car.
I think it was.
I think it's the 06 car.
Yeah.
I'm speculating on that. We'll wait for a confirmation. Well, I'm very disappointed for Guy, for Scott, and the rest of the ESM Ferrari team. I'm more disappointed that we've been robbed of a race to the flag in P2, in GT, in GTC, where Damien Faulkner had got right up behind Lee King. And of course, any problems that Klaus Graf might have had, in terms of fuel mileage, is gone completely now. And that was the other thing that was just at the back of my mind. The crowd have had a great weekend and have come in big numbers as ever to Lime Rock Park, and our thanks to them and indeed everyone here at the track for making our job much easier. It is a super place to come and work, I have to say. Guy is not a happy bunny.
No,
we couldn't broadcast the radio communications.
Yeah, I'll bet he was doing what he had to do down there. That's not a place where you can let somebody past
easily.
Easily, no. And yeah, the GT cars are very quick through that diving turn, the downhill there here at Lime Rock Park onto the fastest part of the course, and that's not the place where you make a dive bomb move at the last minute, which is what it looked like the Cora Sport car did. And I think it was. Well, whichever one it was, it's not a pass that's really on, particularly at this stage in the race. Yeah, there's still a battle on between the two Cora Sport cars. So the 06 is trying to track down the 05. There wasn't much between those two cars, but that was a very unfortunate incident. And we've still got 4 minutes to go. Whether they'll be able to get that car out of the way in enough time to go green, I doubt it.
Where that car is, there's nowhere to pull it to a place of safety, I don't think.
Across the road.
Well, yes. So 4 minutes and 11. 4 minutes and 7 seconds now. Klaus Graf leads by over 10 seconds underneath the safety car procedures. So the Panamera going around. So the car leading the race, of course, didn't have the best of starts. Klaus Graf with a gearbox problem, had to go to Control Alt Delete, and then was sent back into the race with this instruction.
Get out of here.
And my goodness me, did he get out of there?
He did get out of there, but he got out of there a bit too hot, actually. I think it was actually coming in that they had a speeding penalty right after that. They had to serve that stop-and-go penalty as well, but they come all the way back from that. A magnificent first stint by Lucas Luhr, and the great work carried on magnificently by Klaus Graf, who has set the fastest lap of the race, a new track record here at Lime Rock Park of 45.148 seconds, so well over a second quicker than the track record.
And for that, they are the recipients of the Battery Tender Hard Charger Award for the 4th round of the American Le Mans Series, presented by Tequila Patron. So, Jeremy, we never like to see races finishing under full course caution. It appears that is what is going to happen. Let's have some thoughts about what we've seen. 5 classes, we've talked about that a lot, and 3 of them still absolutely nose and tail as we came under this 5th full course caution.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous motor race, I think, from top to bottom in the field. Various people have had problems. One guy we haven't talked about perhaps is Bruno Junqueira for RSR Racing in PC. That car's been fast, but they had a long pit stop earlier on. We've seen several people have longer delays and come back and get back themselves into contention. Not the case for that car, but there's been some fabulous battles, and I think it's just I think it's been tremendously entertaining.
Return to form for the Flying Lizards after their nightmare start of the season and an even worse trip out to France for Le Mans. Thomas Blanc on the wall, Seth Nyman and the rest of the guys. The 45 car going well. The 44 car it is this weekend, who's had all the problems.
Yeah, after qualifying extremely well, so I think they showed the speed of the Lizard Porsches, but they've had, as we've talked about earlier on, and the drivers have talked about, they had a very difficult start to the season, but they felt they turned the corner at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca last time out, and certainly this weekend they've come on stronger and stronger as the weekend has gone along, and they've been very fast in the race. Patrick Long got that car out in the lead early on, and Jörg Bergmeister has held on in the face of some absolutely superb competition.
And fuel mileage, the key. They stayed stayed out long. They didn't take the opportunity to pit where they needed to, and they got great mileage out of that car, and that helped them with their tactics. As you heard, the white flag is going out, 1 lap. A quick mention for Lee Keane and Alex Job Racing in the 22 WeatherTech car. Started on pole position, and it's not very often that the GTC has won from pole. Damien Faulkner at one stage at least a couple of laps down when he took over that 34 Green Hornet car in second place. And what a weekend as well for the GMG car in third position. Alex Welsh back in that car at the end. But the day surely belongs not only in terms of the Battery Tender Hard Charger Award, but at the front of the field to Greg Pickett and Muscle Milk Racing. Kelly?
Standing by with team owner here for Muscle Milk Pickett Racing, Greg Pickett. Amazing race. I can't believe you finished here. I'm sure you can't. What were you thinking as that race unfolded?
No, you can't believe it. It's not over until it's over. The guys were magnificent today, and we hang in there at Muscle Milk. It's not often that I'm speechless, as you probably know, but I'm so proud of the guys. Lucas's stint was unbelievable. Klausy's just a real fighter out there. I've got 2 fabulous world-class guys in the car. On behalf of Muscle Milk, HPD, Nicky Worth over in England, and everybody, I just couldn't be happy. I'm happy that Guy Cosmos, okay, frankly. And what can I say about my friends, the Dysons? They fought us like crazy. So
he's coming to the checkered flag here, Greg.
It's unbelievable. I just could not.
9.
Do you know, emotion in sport is entirely appropriate at times like this. And I'm glad he mentioned the tall man with the brain the size of a planet back in the UK, Nick Worth, who's been so instrumental in this HPD line of ARX cars. And there'll be a lot of people at Worth Research who are loving the fact that the Stars and Stripes liveried car on the weekend after Independence Day has managed to take the victory. We'll claim a little bit back for the Empire, given that it was designed in the UK. But this weekend belongs to Klaus Graf and the rest of the guys from Musselville. Back with more reaction next.
Everything we ever thought up. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The new 911. Porsche Identity. It's not just what we gave the new Corvette 427 that makes it special. It's what we didn't.
First day of spring. Oh, my battery is perfect.
Yep, we've been on a battery tender for 6 years.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
What do you mean?
Old man forgot to plug me in.
Yeah, before I was on a battery tender, I flatlined. Ouch.
Well, at least this couldn't get any worse.
Don't let your batteries become a statistic. Connect a Deltran battery tender. Available at these fine retailers. If it's not a Deltran battery tender, it's just a pretender.
When it comes to fun family getaways, it's got to be Holiday Inn Club Vacations. Room to be yourself.
Well, I think the expression now is "and breathe," isn't it? John Hindhaugh and Jeremy Shaw just getting our breath back after an extraordinary 2 hours and 45 minutes for the fourth round of the American Le Mans Series, the Northeast Grand Prix here at Lime Rock Park, Connecticut, and unfortunately ending up under a yellow flag. But notwithstanding that, it has been a great race with at least 3 of the 5 classes in dispute until, well, that full course caution. Dyson Racing with the Mazda Power prototypes in second, but it's Muscle Milk at the top of P1.
And what can you say about this Muscle Milk Honda team and Klaus Graf coming back 4 laps down? You take the overall win. We just saw your team owner, Greg Pickett, get a little bit choked up talking about today. What was this race like for you?
Oh, very emotional. I mean, what a comeback. We had to push so hard, and great job by Lucas and the team. The crew did an awesome job on the strategy to gain the laps back, and I had to push like crazy, qualified every lap, and our Muscle Milk Honda car did extremely well. I'm very proud of everybody. Thanks to Michelin for awesome tires.
Talk about making that last pass there to gain the overall.
Well, I knew he was a little quick on the straight, and I knew that's my only shot really, and passing him on the outside is sketchy obviously, but really respect the way Guy Smith was racing, so that was very fair, and I appreciate that, so thanks for that.
3 in a row for Muscle Milk Honda. Congratulations.
GT, no less of a battle, of course, with 4 cars, including the unfortunate Guy Cosmo at the end, battling for 3 podium positions. In the end, the 0-1 benefited from the problem of its teammate. 2 Corvettes, second and third, but a return to the top step for Flying Lizard Motorsport for the first time this season, indeed the first time since Petit Le Mans at the end of last year.
Flying Lizard Motorsports has had a dry spell unlike any other. You guys haven't had a win all year. Porsche hasn't had a win all year. Jorg, what does this mean to the team when it's an event where you cannot make a mistake?
Well, it was a long coming. We had a lot of problems all year long, a lot of bad luck especially. Actually, even at the last race, we had a good car, a little mishap there on the pit stop and dropped back with a stop-and-go penalty. But this one was just flawless, like the last couple of years here. For me, I don't know. I can't do anything wrong here, I guess. It's my, I think, 6th win here in 7 years, so I like this place.
6th win in 7 years is a fantastic record, yet you still booked a flight home for tonight. You got out of the car and said you're not going to make that flight back to Germany. What will the celebration be like for the team?
Well, we're just planning on it. We're probably driving to Manhattan tonight and partying a bit there.
Sounds like it'll be a fun time. Congratulations.
Well earned, I reckon.
Yeah, I think I may have to keep an eye on my rear view mirror. Another battle that went all the way to the end, and really there's 3 or 4 cars in that graphic that could have been the winner. Well done to Ricard and Ende to come back. Good result for Tom Kimber-Smith, confirmed for the whole season for Core, but it's the 05 car that takes the victory.
Well, it was a 1-2 finish for Core Autosport in the PC class, and it's 2 in a row now for Colin Braun and John Bennett. And Colin, car doesn't look entirely clean. How'd you manage to bring this home to victory lane?
You know, it was a great race. John did such a good job early on in that race, you know, kept the car clean, turned it over to me. My guys had a really good stop and made a good strategy call to take some tires, I think, there at the end, and restarted third and was able to get to the lead in the first lap. So just had to push really hard and then just kind of manage the gap from behind from then on. So just hats off to the guys. They're doing a great job this season, and pleasure to drive for this team. And John and Morgan's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun this year.
Core Autosport certainly on a roll. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that's 3 of the 5 categories put to bed. Still a couple to come, and both of them were by no means sorted either. In fact, there might have been a slight sigh of relief from Scott Tucker in P2, and certainly one from Lee Keane as Damien Faulkner was hoving into view behind him with that full course caution with just a few minutes to go, 6 minutes or thereabouts to go. Certainly the crowd have had their money's worth this weekend. Here is the results of the second prototype category. Patrick Dempsey with Joey Foster on the podium for the first time for Dempsey Racing. Conquest in second place for the 37 car. And Level 5 Motorsports gambled on one car, and the gamble paid
Level
off.
5 Motorsports remains undefeated for the season. It is the third win of the year for the car, number 055 of Scott Tucker and Christoph Bouchou. But Scott Tucker, you were working there at the end. That was some tough fight before the yellow flag came out. How exhausted are you?
That was a tough one. The Conquest team is really good, and it could have went either way. But fortunately, we came out on top today, and I'm sure we'll see them again. But it's a good day for the team. Gave me a great car. We gambled on a few things, and it paid off.
And certainly is a great battle that's heating up as we head into these summer races. But for you and Christoph, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So the final set of results is that of GTC. GMG Racing, the 32 car on the podium. Green Hornet Racing, Damien Faulkner coming back from at least a couple down to second place. But the pole sitters, Alex Job Racing in the WeatherTech Porsche win it.
Cooper McNeil led the points, but he told me it was really important to get a win. So for you, Lee Keen, his teammate today, what does it mean to get this victory?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, the guys have been working so hard all year, and all the Alex Job guys really deserve this win. So it's great to have the WeatherTech car up on pole, and Cooper did an awesome job at his stint. And it was pretty wild out there. I had to go off track twice, just missing cars and in total chaos. But in the end, we brought it home in first place, so it feels great.
All right, congratulations.
Well, Jeremy, I have no idea what to say after all of that. We've got one more result to show you. That is the Green X Challenge 1. Some sucker for for Dyson Racing with the Mazda-powered prototype running on isobutanol. It's such an efficient fuel. An easy victory there, not translated to a win on the track from Muscle Milk and Conquest Endurance. We've barely got a couple of weeks to settle ourselves down before we are racing again. And the Flying Lizard Motorsports take the GT version of Michelin Green X Challenge ahead of BMW. Look how much closer that is, because those guys are all running on E85 fuel. All, of course, got the same calorific value, the same efficiency value from the 02 of Extreme Speed Motorsport. Just a couple of weeks, Jeremy, for us to give ourselves a rub down with some halibut oil and get ourselves ready for the trip up north to Canadian Tires Motorsport Park, the Mobile One Grand Prix. What do you say other than wow?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be another fantastic race in a couple of weeks' time. This was a great one. I must say, my hat's off to Scott Tucker. I think he really came of age this afternoon. He's been getting better and better of a driver. Massive amount of driving time he's having over the last couple of years. But today was a really good performance by him. He had a lot of pressure in the final 10 laps of the race from Martin Plowman. You look at the fastest laps between those two leaders in P2, nothing between them.
For Jeremy Shaw and the rest of the team, I'm John Hindhaugh. Bye for now.